Chapter 25. So what if I like him? So what if I don't like him? Gu Lingqing asked meaningfully. I'm a married woman. I don't want to step on the bottom line of morality. I'm not someone who wants to play with people's feelings. I believe that there are many people who like him. He doesn't need to walk on the edge of a knife, Bai Ye answered seriously. Gu Lingqing looked at her deeply. His dark eyes seemed calm, but there was a fierce undercurrent in them. Walking on the edge of a knife, interesting. Gu Lingqing said ambiguously and curled up the corner of his mouth. Plus, I just got to know him. We haven't met many times. Maybe we have a good impression of each other, but it's better to stop. Bai Ye explained. She was very clear and straightforward. She believed that Gu Lingqing was a smart person and could understand what she meant. Gu Lingqing glanced at her bowl and chopsticks. Let's eat. Bai Ye lowered her head to eat. The door was pushed open. Gu Tianhang stood at the door and looked at Bai Ye sternly. Dad, why are you here? Gu Lingqing frowned slightly. Gu Tianhang walked over and threw the documents on the table. You've been too ridiculous recently. The military doctor of the special forces must be transferred from the military. How can ordinary doctors be qualified? Gu Tianhang questioned. This is my business. You seem to be overstepping your bounds. Gu Lingqing put down his chopsticks and leaned on the chair. Gu Tianhang didn't look at Bai Ye. He looked at Gu Lingqing sternly and asked, Who is she? Who allowed you to bring a dubious woman to the military? A sharp light shot out from Gu Lingqing's eyes. He stood up, his whole body cold, and his voice was very low. Reporting to the Vice President, this is my special military region, not your parliament, and definitely not your CIA. If you think I've neglected my duty, you can report it. Don't interfere in my private life. If there's nothing else, I won't see you out. What kind of tone is that? If she's a spy or sent by my political enemies, you're ruining your future. Gu Tianhang was so angry that his teeth itched. If she is, you can send me to the military court to await the country's punishment. You don't have to care about our father-son relationship. But before she is, you have no right to interfere with my relationship with anyone, Gu Lingqing said indifferently. You are destroying your own future. That's also my business. Feeling helpless, Gu Tianhang ordered domineeringly, You must attend tomorrow's banquet. Otherwise, I'll announce to the media on Tuesday that Su Shaoling is Gu Lingqing's fiancée, the acknowledged daughter-in-law of the Liu family. Do you think this is interesting? Gu Lingqing said arrogantly. He loathed the arranged life. Of course. I'm doing this for your own good, Gu Tianhang said in a professional manner. He looked at Bai Ye and said sternly, Don't ever step into the military area again. This is not a place you can come to. Even if you want to be despicable, you'd better know your place first. Bai Ye stood up. He naturally felt uncomfortable being scolded like that. She walked towards the door. Gu Lingqing held her arm and looked at Gu Tianhang coldly. She is a friend I invited. You cannot understand, but please respect her. Respect. Gu Tianhang took out a gun and pointed it at Gu Lingqing's head. Just because you disobeyed your father, I can kill you. Gu Lingqing took a step forward and put his forehead against the muzzle of the gun. He was fearless and looked death calmly. The gun was already on the trigger. Gu Tianhang could not bring himself to do this, so he put away the gun. Gu Lingqing was stubborn and fearful. The atmosphere was so weird that it was scary. Bai Ye's heart jumped to her throat. I really should go. My husband is still waiting for me at home. Bai Ye pried Gu Lingqing's hand away and bowed to Gu Lingqing. Thank you for risking your life to save me. I was rude. She then turned to Gu Tianhang, bowed and explained, Please don't misunderstand the chief. I think the army and the people are a family. Last time, the chief saved me in the hostage case. I want to cook a meal to thank him. If you don't like it, I won't step into this place again. You guys take your time. I'll leave first. She could be considered to have fled in panic, not even turning her head back. Is she here to thank you? A married woman. After hearing Bai Ye's explanation, Gu Tianhang was relieved. He took the opportunity to put away the gun and find a way out of this embarrassing situation. Gu Lingqing did not reply. She called Lieutenant Colonel Shang. Lieutenant Colonel Shang came in and nodded in fear. Send her back. Gu Lingqing ordered. Yes. As soon as Bai Ye walked to the door, Lieutenant Colonel Shang rushed out. Miss Bai, wait. The chief asked me to send you back. There's no need. I'll take a taxi back myself. Bai Ye refused. I also have something to talk to Miss Gu about, Lieutenant Colonel Shang said. What? Let's talk in the car. Lieutenant Colonel Shang opened the car door. Bai Ye could only get into Lieutenant Colonel Shang's car. Lieutenant Colonel Shang looked at Bai Ye in the rearview mirror politely. I think the chief likes you. Lieutenant Colonel Shang said bluntly. Bai Ye blushed. We're not suitable for each other. If other women kissed the chief, he would definitely push them away. I've been with him for 3 years. He is famous for not being close to women. But that night when you were drunk and kissed the chief, he didn't push you away, Lieutenant Colonel Shang explained. Bai Ye looked at Lieutenant Colonel Shang in shock. That night, she was drunk and didn't remember anything when she woke up. She asked him what she said and what she did. He said nothing. It turned out that she kissed him. Bai Ye felt very uncomfortable. Her chest was moving up and down violently. Well, I'm married. I have a husband. Married? Lieutenant Colonel Shang was a little surprised. He smiled awkwardly. Having sex outside of marriage would stain the chief's bright political future. He was really being nosy this time. He felt that he had made a mistake. Ha ha ha, I'm just talking nonsense. Our chief has a woman he loves. That night, he must have seen that you were drunk and didn't make a fuss about it. Sometimes, our chief is too embarrassed to reject girls who don't know the truth. I was thinking too much. Ha ha ha. Lieutenant Colonel Shang immediately changed his words. Bai Ye paused for a moment. So he had a woman he loved. Then his feelings for her might be the passion between a mature man and a woman. It came quickly and left quickly. Her beating heart calmed down quietly. One of them was in heaven and the other was on earth. It was impossible for them to be friends. Lieutenant Colonel Shang looked at Bai Ye leaning against the window. He cleared his throat and asked, "Where are you going?" Bai Ye came back to her senses. "Send me to the hospital." Her phone rang. Bai Ye saw that it was an unfamiliar number. She picked it up. "Thank you for just now." Gu Lingqing's voice came from the other end of the phone. Bai Ye was a little nervous when she received his call. "Well, I'm just being honest. You did save me. I treated you to a meal to thank you. You want to deny that you saved my life just because of a meal?" Gu Lingqing said with a chuckle. His tone was charming and ambiguous. Chapter 26. She felt that Gu Lingqing was taking advantage of her. She was just being polite. "Didn't I put myself in danger because I helped you?" Bai Ye said softly. "Ha." Gu Lingqing chuckled, and his tone became much gentler. "I won't force you. Have a good rest." Bai Ye had a strange feeling. He felt like a warm man on the phone, which was different from when they met. "You have a good rest too." "I'm hanging up." Baiya hung up the phone after she finished speaking. Lieutenant Colonel Shang glanced at Baiya and didn't say anything. He sent Baiya back to the hospital. When he returned to the military, he received a call from the chief. Did she go home? Gu Lingqing asked. No, she said she was sent to the hospital, Lieutenant Colonel Shang reported truthfully. Okay. Got it. Gu Lingqing hung up the phone. It was better for her to go back to the hospital than to go home. At 8:00 the next morning, Lu Shuang rushed to Baiya's office. Baiya, that B*TCH is suing you. The hospital wants to punish you. I heard that she wants you to be fired, Lu Shuang said worriedly. The B*TCH you're talking about is the pregnant woman who was sent here the other day. Baiya asked suspiciously. Yes. Why did you cut her down there? Her baby's umbilical cord is around her neck. If I don't cut her, the baby will suffocate. I didn't do anything wrong. Why would the hospital punish me? Baiya said confidently. I heard that someone from above pressured me. I'll go and ask later. Who did it? Could it be Su Jiran? But he has no reason to do so. A light flashed in Baiya's eyes. It should be her. She called Su Jiran. Isn't it too late to think of me now? Su Jiran said in a strange tone. What exactly do you want? Baiya asked anxiously. I've said it before. If you piss me off, it won't do you any good. Now I'll give you an hour to go home. If it's more than an hour, you'll have to bear the consequences. Su Jiran hung up the phone without giving her a chance to speak. What did he say? Lu Shuang asked with concern. Let me go back. I will ask the director for leave, Baiya said helplessly. Why bother with him? Let him eat sh*t, Lu Shuang said angrily. He's from the health bureau. The hospital won't offend him. I'll go. Things have to be resolved eventually. I'll contact him later. Baiya packed his things and went back. She arrived home. Su Jiran crossed his legs and lay lazily on the sofa. He saw Baiya coming back. He smirked and looked at his watch. 48:00, very punctual. Good boy. He picked up a paper bag from his feet and threw it on the coffee table as if he was giving alms. This is your reward. See if you like it. Su Jiran, what do you want? You're already free. Why do you have to make life difficult for me? Once I regret the divorce, you'll only have endless troubles. Baiya tried to reason with him. When I'm tired of you, I'll get a divorce. But I have to be the one to ask for a divorce. You don't have the right, he said arrogantly. He took out a jewelry box and handed it to her. Put it on. She stood still and looked at the interest in Su Jiran's eyes. Then she took the jewelry box in annoyance. Su Jiran was a hunter. What he liked most was to watch his prey struggle and then enjoy the fun of tracking and playing with it. Hunters were ruthless, focused, and wild. However, hunters would not only be interested in one prey. Baiya opened the box and glanced at a pair of platinum diamond earrings. She closed the box and threw it on the coffee table. You don't like it? Su Jiran stared at her, and there was a hint of anger in his charming eyes. You know I don't like to wear these things. As a doctor, I can't wear them. But I'll treasure them, thank you, she said coldly. He picked up the earrings, pinched her ear domineeringly, and inserted them into her ear without allowing her to refuse. She had never worn them after she became a doctor. There was a stinging pain on her ear. She touched her ear and felt wet blood on it. She glared at Su Jiran in annoyance. If she had any feelings for him before, it would have been exhausted long ago. Su Jiran's lips curled up, but there was no smile in his charming eyes. He did not have any tender feelings for the fairer sex. He turned her face and forcefully inserted the other earring into her ear. Baya clenched her fists and suppressed the anger in her heart. A country bumpkin will always be a country bumpkin. Even if you wear gold and silver, you still look like a country bumpkin, Su Jiran said unhappily. As long as you sign the divorce agreement, I, a country bumpkin who annoys you, can leave without stopping, Baya said coldly. Su Jiran's displeasure deepened, and he glanced at another bag next to the sofa. There's a pair of shoes in there. Change into the clothes on the coffee table. Don't embarrass me. I'll wait for you in the car downstairs. See you in 10 minutes. He got up and walked outside. Baya was on the verge of anger. She took a piece of paper and wiped the blood on her ear. She opened the gift bag and saw a pink spaghetti strap skirt and a pair of red high heels in the paper bag. She threw the earrings into the box and closed it. She carried the 2 gift bags and went out. Su Jiran's car was parked at the entrance of the neighborhood. He was texting, and the corners of his mouth curled up. Baya was too familiar with that smile. There must be another prey that was about to fall into his trap. Baya opened the car door and threw the gift bag inside. Su Jiran. If you think that I'm embarrassing, you don't have to take me out. Baya slammed the car door. Su Jiran's eyes narrowed, and he narrowed them. You're challenging my patience. If you don't have patience, then don't see each other. Are you trying to be cheap? Baya said bluntly. A murderous look flashed in Su Jiran's eyes. He got out of the car, grabbed her hand, and threw her into the back seat. He sat next to her, looked ahead coldly, and ordered the chauffeur, drive, to the airport. I don't want to go to the airport. What are you playing at? Baya was on guard. Su Jiran held her chin and turned her so that he was facing her. You'd better behave now. Otherwise, I might get interested and want you. Su Jiran warned coldly. Baya looked at the coldness in his eyes. Su Jiran was a beast. She absolutely believed that he would do such a thing. Baya lowered her eyes. Su Jiran let go of her when he saw that she had become docile. Baya looked out of the window. She really did not understand Su Jiran. She actually knew that Su Jiran did not love her, but why did he refuse to divorce her? He was a person who never made a loss. Could it be that he was planning something else? Su Jiran's phone rang. Minister Su, Governor Xing did not come to pick you up. The one who came to pick you up was his wife, Mrs. Xing, Su Jiran's subordinate reported. Well, has everything been arranged? Su Jiran asked with a smile. Chapter 27. Yes. All the cameras have been cut off. Saudi Arabia is now at the airport, Su Jiran's subordinate said. Baya was surprised. What did Su Jiran mean by arrangement? She had a feeling that a conspiracy was approaching. However, before she could figure it out, Su Jiran pulled her out of the car in a domineering manner. She walked toward the arrival gate. A few girls walked toward them. One of them was wearing an elegant blue floral dress. Her long hair fluttered in the wind. She looked like a beautiful woman from ancient times. She had an elegant temperament and was elegant and refined. A slight smile from her was enough to topple a city. Upon closer inspection, she looked somewhat similar to Baya. Baya was slightly surprised when she saw her. She was Auntie Chang's daughter, Xing Jinyan, her half-sister. This younger sister was only born 3 hours later than her. The two women gave birth at the same time. Xing Jinyan's mother was lying in the hospital, with more than a dozen doctors and nurses looking after her. Her mother, on the other hand, was rolling on the ground, screaming at the empty house. 3 masked people rushed out of the crowd. Baya came to her senses. They each held a gun, a knife, and a handkerchief in their hands. They quickly walked toward Xing Jinyan. Xing Jinyan looked at the masked people in fear and stayed where she was. Su Jiran walked over with an evil smile. She put her arm around Baya's shoulder, and a bloodthirsty cruelty flashed in her eyes. She said to Baya, "Xing Jinyan, long time no see." Baya's eyes widened in surprise. Why did Su Jiran call her that? The three masked people were also slightly surprised. They paused for 3 seconds. Why didn't the governor come to pick you up? Su Jiran said to Baya. The masked people thought that Baya was Xing Jinyan, so they changed their direction and walked toward Baya. One of them pointed a gun at Su Jiran's head. Su Jiran raised his hands and didn't move. Another person covered Baya's nose with a handkerchief. A strong smell of ether wafted through her nose. The three masked men held her hostage as they retreated step by step. She looked at Su Jiran drowsily. He stood protectively in front of Xing Jinyan and smiled coquettishly as he watched her being taken away. So cruel and heartless. Suddenly, she seemed to understand something. Su Jiran liked Xing Jinyan. That was why he was suddenly pursuing her. She did not expect that he would put her in such a dangerous situation for the sake of his beloved woman. She seemed to hear the sound of her heart breaking. She closed her eyes and fell asleep in the thick darkness. Su Jiran reached out to the panic-stricken Xing Jinyan and smiled charmingly. "Follow me." Xing Jinyan held his hand without hesitation and ran with him. They were like a prince and a princess in a fairy tale, full of romance. They arrived at his car. Su Jiran rolled down the window. "Jiran, are they here to capture me? I'm so scary." Xing Jinyan was still panicking and she patted her chest. "Don't you think I'm scarier?" Su Jiran smiled devilishly. Before Xing Jinyan could react, he leaned over and pressed his body against hers. He lowered his head and kissed her lips, searching for the taste of the past. The kiss became deeper and more intense. His hand slid into her shirt unrestrainedly. "Don't." Xing Jinyan pushed him away. "Ha! Don't what?" Su Jiran didn't hide his desire for her. He pinched her leg, as if he was punishing her. "Not here." Xing Jinyan pleaded with a blushing face. "You don't have a choice." He kissed her lips again, passionately and madly. It was suffocating. As a playboy, he knew how to make a woman yield. Soon, Xing Jinyan's eyes were intoxicated. He let go of her lips and his eyes became darker and more evil. He smiled. "Do you want it?" Xing Jinyan's face was flushed and she trembled slightly. He asked wickedly and bit her ear. "I've missed you every night for the past 3 years." Xing Jinyan's eyes were filled with tears. She seemed touched. "Yes, I missed you too." "Really? If you haven't had electricity for 3 years, does that count as missing?" Su Jiran said sarcastically. Xing Jinyan panted and her eyes wandered. "I was locked up in the base's hospital and there was no electricity at all. I wanted to contact you too." He moved his mouth to her ear and asked ambiguously, "Then do you know what I like?" Xing Jinyan placed her hand on his abdomen. After years of training, Su Jiran had become more dangerous and seductive to women. She turned around and asked, "Are you still angry that I left without saying goodbye?" He ran his fingers through her hair to her neck and said seductively, "I won't forgive a woman who abandons me easily." "I didn't," she retorted. He pressed down on her neck, his eyes filled with hatred. He was like a crazy beast that wanted to tear the woman in front of him apart. This was the woman who had left without saying goodbye and betrayed him. And now, she was right in front of him. He only needed to exert a little bit of force to crush her neck. Su Jiran's eyes flashed with a hint of joy. He had waited for 3 years just for this moment to punish this woman to his heart's content. He wanted to let her know that no one could afford to offend him. Xiaoyan, Su Jiran called gently. Xing Jinyan looked at him. I'm already married, Su Jiran said with a smile. His smile was especially seductive and it instantly lit up his peerless face. Xing Jinyan was shocked and shocked. He liked to see this expression on his face. It greatly satisfied his pride. He had thought that it would be difficult to get her love, so he had specially arranged a good show, but in the end, if it was too easy, it would be boring. He smiled and lifted Xing Jinyan up. He wasn't going to punish her just by scaring her. He wanted to use everything she had taught him to love and please, to hurt and be cruel. Xing Jinyan blushed and wrapped her arms around his neck. Her eyes were misty and she said gently, "Don't let me down." He smiled mysteriously. She trembled, sobbed, but then she lay comfortably in his arms. Jiran, I love you. Su Jiran felt a little bored. In comparison, he missed Baya more. He had helped Baya return to her position as the daughter of a wealthy family. She should thank him. After all, they were husband and wife, right? Special Military Area Command Gu Lingqing answered the phone. He frowned and his chin was tight, showing his displeasure. If it's a normal kidnapping case, please go to the armed police. I'm here to deal with the enemy, not the normal criminals. Your Uncle Xing's daughter is also your sister. The armed police are ready, but the criminals are only allowed 2 people to enter the island. You can only deal with them if you send an elite special forces soldier. Are you going or not? Gu Tianhang said angrily. Gu Lingqing hung up the phone. Chief, should we send someone? The armed police are ready and waiting, Lieutenant Colonel Shang asked worriedly. Chapter 28. Sir, I can't. This mission is too dangerous. Lieutenant Colonel Shang was so worried that he was sweating. Gu Lingqing packed his things and was very determined. This is my family's private matter. Who else do you think is more suitable besides me? I can't. I believe that the other Special Forces soldiers will definitely complete this mission with honor. Lieutenant Colonel Shang, run 20 laps with a weight of 10 kilograms. You talk too much nonsense, he said coldly. He packed his things and set off for the crime scene. On the beach, a group of armed special forces lined up neatly with rifles in their hands. Xing Bachuan sat in a car with black windows. Next to him sat a man who was wearing the same clothes as him and looked very similar. Gu Lingqing was carried into the car by the police. Xing Bachuan hung up the phone with the kidnappers and said to Gu Lingqing, "They promised that 2 people will accompany me to the island. You must ensure the safety of my daughter." Gu Lingqing glanced at Xing Bachuan's face indifferently. He had even found a substitute. He was really afraid of death. Gu Lingqing didn't say anything. He took Xing Bachuan's phone and carried the fake governor onto the yacht. "Sir, I'll go with you." Lieutenant Colonel Shang rushed over. If something happened to the chief, he wouldn't be able to live long. It was better to come and protect the chief. "Stay here and wait for orders," Gu Lingqing ordered. He set sail for the deserted island. After getting on the island, he called Saudi Arabia and found that the phone was turned off. He shuttled through the forest suspiciously. The more he walked, the more surprised he became. The surroundings were too quiet, so quiet that it was peaceful. Finally, he saw a wooden house in front of him with a bit of starlight. He looked around cautiously and quickly leaned against the side of the wooden house. He opened a gap in the window and looked inside. Baiyo was left in the middle of the house, hanging by a rope. Her mouth was stuffed with a piece of cloth. Her hands were already bruised. Her expression was cold. She looked at the air blankly. He didn't know if she was strong or scared silly. She was too calm. Gu Lingqing's heart tightened. He scanned the room and found that there was no one else inside. He quickly pushed the door and went in. Bai Ye looked at him. Her big eyes were locked on his resolute face, and she was a little absent-minded. She kept looking and looking until her eyes turned red and the corners of her mouth curled into a smile. Some people say that when God closes your window, he must open another. Gu Lingqing quickly ran over, untied the rope on her hand, and saved her. Pull the cloth from her mouth. When he saw the red bruises on her face, he frowned and asked worriedly, "Are you okay?" Bai Ye shook his head. He pitifully blew on her red and swollen hand and softly said, "It must be very painful, right?" Bai Ye stared at him. She didn't cry when the mistress came looking for her. She didn't cry when Su Jiran pushed her to the gates of hell. Being cared for by him made her feel a very sour feeling in her heart. He had been hurt too much and was already numb to it. But sunlight was scarce, and she was even more precious. Tears flowed out. Sniffing her nose, she smiled again. "I'm fine." Yes, without Su Jiran in her heart, she would be fine. She saw her bag, walked over, and picked it up. Gu Lingqing held her hand and promised, "Follow me closely, I will definitely ensure your safety." Bai Ye glanced at his hand. His palms were warm. Because of long-term training, it was a little rough, but it was a strong feeling, which made her feel very at ease. She didn't refuse his touch again. Or maybe it was because she was too tired. Her heart was too bitter. She needed this firm warmth to drive away the coldness in her body. Xing Bachwan's face darkened when he saw Bai Ye come ashore. He frowned, and his voice became sharp. "How could it be you? Did you tell the gangster that she was my daughter?" Bai Ye looked at Xing Bachwan indifferently. She didn't say that she was his daughter. Even if she really died, she wouldn't say it. Ridiculous. What a waste of my time. Xing Bachwan got into the car angrily, slammed the door, and left, leaving behind a group of confused people. Only Bai Ye knew the reason. She stood quietly, looking at the back view of Xing Bachwan's car. He thought that the person who was kidnapped was Xing Jinyan, so he came. In his heart, Xing Jinyan was his daughter, but she wasn't. There was a slight pain in her heart that was being pulled. "I'll send you back." Gu Lingqing sensed that something was wrong with her. She turned her head and smiled at Gu Lingqing, hiding the gloominess in her eyes. "Okay." She got into his car, leaned against the window, and closed her eyes. She was very tired. She hadn't rested since morning. Her body was tired, and her heart was tired. She fell asleep after a while. Her phone rang. Gu Lingqing was worried that it would wake her up, so he answered the phone. "Where is she?" "Come to my villa in an hour," Su Jiran ordered. Gu Lingqing hated his tone. His black eyes became deeper, and he said in a low voice, "She's asleep." "Who are you?" "Gu Lingqing." "Where are you?" There was an inexplicable panic in Su Jiran's heart. "If there's anything, we'll talk tomorrow morning." "I'm hanging up." He hung up and turned off Bai Ye's phone. He looked at Bai Ye. Bai Ye's neck was tilted, and her head was drooping. It was still 40 minutes away from the city center. She would definitely have a stiff neck if she slept like this. Gu Lingqing saw a hotel not far away. He drove the car close to the hotel's parking lot. The rules of the hotel were very strict. No one was allowed to check in without an ID card. He used his military ID card to get a room. Bai Ye was still asleep. He carried her and walked to the elevator. Her body was soft, and her little face was as red as an apple. He put her gently on the bed. Her hair brushed past his arm, tickling him. His eyes narrowed and were mesmerized by the colors. Something hot surged in his abdomen. After all, he was a hot-blooded man. The taste of her had been deeply imprinted in his mind 3 years ago. He sighed, covered her with the quilt, and went into the bathroom. The cold water rushed down. It chilled his skin, but it couldn't cool the passion in his heart and the restlessness hidden in his body. This was the best time to test his will. Early morning. Baiya was woken up by the sound of water in the bathroom. She sat up and brushed her hair. Her head was still dizzy, and she saw Gu Lingqing's clothes on the sofa. Her lips curled up. Staying in the same room with him was just to make her feel at ease. She stepped out of the bed. Gu Lingqing walked out of the bathroom. His hair was wet, and his face was tense. The strong lines on his face made his face more three-dimensional, as if he was suppressing something. His strong and muscular lines extended all the way down to his abdomen. A white bath towel was wrapped around his belly button, and it was very sexy. Baiya blushed a little, and tried to look at his face. She said softly, "Morning." Gu Lingqing ignored her, walked to the sofa, and picked up his clothes. She felt that he was not happy. "Well, thank you. I slept too much last night, and I don't remember checking into the hotel," Baiya thanked him. Chapter 29. Baiya felt that he was a little weird. But she didn't know why. Was he angry early in the morning, or was he angry? "It's not the first time we've been in the same room. I trust you," Baiya said in a distant and polite manner. He frowned slightly, and the anger in his eyes deepened. "Trust me for what?" He was overbearing, and that inexplicable pressure made it hard for her to breathe. "Are you sick?" Baiya touched his forehead. He grasped her wrist even faster. His palm was very hot, like the butt of a cigarette. He also felt that he was sick. In the same room, he could still be a saint. In the whole world, only he, Gu Lingqing, could do that. Suddenly, the air pressure rose and collapsed his reason. He pressed the back of her head and kissed her. His lips were very hot. A fresh toothpaste smell rushed into her nose, lips, and mouth, all the way to her heart and lungs. Baiya was so shocked that her mind went blank. He stuck his tongue in. He swallowed her natural sweet taste. His lips and teeth melted with hers. Ferocious like a flood that had opened the floodgates. Baiya only felt that her breath was being eroded by him bit by bit. His breath was also getting heavier. Baiya's eyes were red with fear. She almost forgot that Gu Lingqing's feelings for her were not pure. She must be crazy to sleep in the same room with him. She pushes at his chest. He held her hand and didn't move. Instead, the temperature of his body was getting higher and higher. Even cold water couldn't cool down the heat. Her hand was trembling. She protested with a frown, her watery eyes locked onto him. The charming mist in his eyes became more and more blurred. The more she resisted, the more he wanted her. His big palm slid through her clothes and across her waist. Wherever the big palm passed, it made her tremble. She had never been touched like this before. She immediately felt humiliated. Her head was dizzy and her legs were weak. He held her waist, and there was no distance between them. His fingers undid the buckle on her back and followed the strap to the front. The hot temperature of his palm touched her skin, as if it was going to set her on fire. A series of unfamiliar electric currents swept through her delicate body. The unfamiliar numbness brought with it a different feeling. "No." Baiya resisted, his voice trembling. Her resistance was completely useless now. He kissed her neck and straightened her dress to her waist. His hot lips landed on her shoulder. Hot air fell on her body. Gu Lingqing, don't. She trembled in fear. She wanted to say something but stopped. Her eyes were misty and moist. What is it? He asked, looking at her with a burning gaze. She found it hard to speak. She blushed. It's not right for us to do this. I'm married. His eyes narrowed in an instant and he frowned. There was no joking expression on his resolute face. As long as it's a woman I like, I don't care who she is, whether she's married or not, and whether she has children or not. I want you. Her heart was beating so fast that she couldn't breathe, and her brain couldn't think. Is he confessing? In a daze, Gu Lingqing carried her to the bed. She felt a chill on her back and regained her senses. She pressed her hand against Gu Lingqing's burning chest. His deep gaze was like a whirlpool, causing her to be unable to extricate herself and fall into it. If she lost her senses now, what about tomorrow, the day after, or in the future? The passion between a man and a woman was temporary. It couldn't solve anything, and it couldn't bring about anything. Gu Lingqing, don't, Bai begged. I'll be responsible for you, he said hoarsely. He held her hand and moved it down his abs. She shivered. She was so scared that she wanted to retract her hand. He pressed her hand down and didn't let her leave. She shouted anxiously, "We're not close." His body froze and his deep eyes were covered with a layer of indistinct color. His anger was replaced by a blurry look. You're saying that we're not close? Vaguely, she felt a little heartache. She lowered her eyes and tears flowed from her eyes. He understood that she didn't want to be like this. The warmth in his eyes turned cold. He let go of her and stood up. I'm sorry, I was rude. We're really not close. If you don't want to see me in the future, I'll disappear from your life completely, Gu Lingqing said coldly, very dispirited. He turned around and walked into the bathroom again. Bai Yi didn't feel very comfortable as she watched his cold and arrogant back view disappear. She curled up and hugged her calves, covering her face with her knees. Actually, she didn't hate him. It was just that she was still a married woman. She didn't want to become someone like Su Jiran. Gu Lingqing came out of the bathroom and returned to his usual coldness. He walked straight to the sofa and tidied up his clothes indifferently. He didn't look at her again. Gu Lingqing, Bai Yi shouted. He packed up his things coldly, even colder than before. She didn't know what to say and could only look at him. He tidied up his things and looked at her affectionately. I'll wait for you downstairs. With that said, he turned around and left her room. Bai Yi got out of bed, washed up, and went to the hall on the first floor. Gu Lingqing had already stopped a taxi for her. Get in the car, he said coldly and opened the back door. Bai Yi walked past him and got into the car. Gu Lingqing, Bai Yi shouted and looked at him with slightly red eyes. I don't want to be a stranger to you. Gu Lingqing was slightly stunned. He pulled Bai Yi down and walked quickly to the parking lot. He threw her in front of his car door and put his hand on the side of her head. He looked at her with burning eyes, sharp, serious, and serious. Tell me clearly, do you want to have an affair with me? No. She answered without even thinking. Do you want me to like you? Gu Lingqing asked, not giving her any time to respond. If he liked her and she didn't like him, he would be very tired. She had enough of the feeling of falling in love with someone who didn't love her. If she didn't love him, she didn't want him to like her. She shook her head. In her current situation, she didn't have the ability to love anyone. Gu Lingqing's eyes dimmed. Since we're nothing, it's better not to see each other in the future. He let go of her hand, opened the car door, and got into the driver's seat. "Can't we be friends?" Baya asked. Chapter 30. Baya smiled bitterly. "I'm married. I have a husband. How can I be your woman?" Gu Lingqing could tell that she was rejecting him, so he didn't want to force her. "Let it be. We don't belong to the same world. There's no need to be friends. Get in the car, I'll send you back," Gu Lingqing said calmly. Baya lowered her eyes. Her long eyelashes formed a silhouette under her eyes, covering the dark emotions that flowed through her eyes. She and Gu Lingqing did not belong to the same world. Since they couldn't be friends, there was no need to force it. She had always been alone, and she had lived until now. There's no need. I can take a taxi back. Thank you for saving me. I wish you happiness. Baya nodded, turned around and walked towards the entrance of the hotel. Gu Lingqing gritted his teeth. His eyes were filled with irritation. His nails that were holding the steering wheel turned white. He steeled his heart and drove away. Baya took a taxi back to her apartment. When she opened the door, Su Jiran was in her apartment, sitting on the sofa. The cigarette in his hand flickered, and the smoke blurred his face. The ashtray was full of cigarette ashes. The room was filled with smoke. Baya looked straight at him. "You just came back." Su Jiran's lips curled up. He was as devilish as usual, but there was no warmth in his eyes. She saw how cruel he was. His kindness was only shown to other women, but she couldn't feel it. "Let's go. The Civil Affairs Bureau should be open now. Let's get the divorce certificate done." "I still have to go to the hospital," Baya said calmly. He chuckled and stood up. "Who said that I wanted to divorce you?" Baya stared at him. Her gaze became colder and colder, and the corners of her lips curled up slightly. "Su Jiran, do you think we can still go on after what happened yesterday? Don't deceive yourself. I'm not a child. You know very well why you married me. Now that she's back, I'll give you my blessings that you'll be united forever, fall sick together, and die together." Su Jiran furrowed his brows, his eyes filled with irritation. "Have you had enough? The criminals caught you, but I've already dealt with them. What else do you want me to do? Saving the damsel in distress is indeed your style, but it doesn't mean that I want to continue playing with you. Xing Jinyan is already back, and he's the apple of Xing Baochuan's eye. You provoked me back then because you knew I was Xing Baochuan's daughter. I'll marry you. Don't worry. Even if she comes back, it won't affect your status as Mrs. Su," Su Jiran said with certainty. Baya didn't want to talk to him anymore. There was no point in talking more. She walked past him towards the room. Seeing her disdain, Su Jiran's eyes narrowed and he grabbed her wrist. "What's your attitude now? Don't you have eyes to see? Can't you see what attitude I have?" Baya wanted to shake his hand off. His grip was too tight, and she couldn't shake it off at all. His gaze became more and more sinister, and there was a hint of jealousy in his eyes. "Why? Are you in love with Gu Lingqing?" Baya sneered. "It doesn't seem to have much to do with you." He tightened his grip. "Say that again. No matter how many times I say it, it's the same. I've never cared about your matters, and my matters have nothing to do with you," Baya said coldly. She wasn't afraid of his anger that was about to explode. To her, he was already nothing from the moment he treated her like a chess piece yesterday. He pushed her shoulders hard and moved forward quickly and comfortably. Baya was pushed against the wall by him. The pain in her back tugged at her bones. Her body was in pain, but her heart was calmer. She had to get a divorce, and she was determined to get it. Su Jiran scrutinized Baya. His eyes were bloodshot as he questioned. Did he really *CKU? Yeah, compared to the women outside, I thought you were at least clean. I didn't expect you to be as dirty as them. Dirty? Baya raised the corner of her mouth sarcastically and looked straight into his beautiful and unfathomable eyes. His heart actually didn't hurt anymore. Yeah, I'm very dirty. Wipe your hands. Looking at her cold and distant face, he felt a stab of pain in his heart. He pinched her chin. Baya, what are you thinking? Divorce. Please, disappear from my life completely. Baya said resolutely. The veins on his forehead popped. He lowered his head and kissed her fiercely. Baya gritted her teeth hard. She didn't like the charming taste of tobacco in his mouth. It was too turbid. It made her want to go to Guilingqing. It was pure, sunny, and warm. Su Jiran was furious. He pinched her little face hard and forced her to open her mouth. He kissed her fiercely until he reached her mouth. The light and elegant fragrance of her body made him almost fascinated. He was crazy for her. His reason disappeared. There was only one organ in his body that was clamoring for her. Baya frowned. She couldn't struggle. Her physical strength couldn't compete with this man. She made up her mind, clenched her fists, endured the nausea in her stomach, and kissed him back. Su Jiran felt that her kiss back was not smooth. Compared to so many skillful women, she was simply clumsy. However, he felt very comfortable. It was as if a drop of hot water was dripping on his cold and indestructible heart. It was warm. This kind of awareness surprised him. He let go of her, looked at her red lips suspiciously, and asked, "Is this your trick? You deliberately made me angry." Yes. Baya raised the corner of her mouth coldly. In order to protect herself, why not lie? It worked, didn't it? Baya asked. The fog spread to her eyes and covered the window of her heart. Su Jiran smiled wickedly. It did work. You didn't use it on him, right? Of course not. Baya didn't dare to anger Su Jiran. He was too dangerous now. Su Jiran grinned, and even the depths of his eyes were smiling. Baya, you're getting more and more scheming. Did I capture your heart? Baya asked arrogantly. Don't play these tricks on me in the future. I don't like it. He smiled wickedly, and his tone was still as doting as before. But she knew that he used this kind of tone to flirt with every woman he met. No, I'm going to work, Baya said coldly. You go to work. He yawned. I didn't sleep last night. I'll sleep here for a while. Do as you please. Baya almost escaped from the room. She looked back at the door, and fear flowed in her eyes. She couldn't come to this place again. Su Jiran was too scary. He refused to divorce, so she could only use legal means. Su Jiran walked into Baya's room, lay on her bed, and covered her with the quilt. There was no perfume or makeup on her quilt, but it had a very fresh and elegant fragrance. It smelled very good. Chapter 31. Baya went back to her office. Lu Shuang passed by and saw Baya in the office. She came back and asked with concern, Xiao Bai, how's the aftermath of yesterday? I'm preparing for a divorce, Baya said calmly. Really? You did the right thing. I support you to get a divorce. She smiled mischievously. Is it because of the handsome guy you saw yesterday afternoon? No. Baya shook her head. She felt a little lonely. I'll never see him again. Why? He doesn't like you because you're a married woman. You're going to get a divorce soon, Lu Shuang said, puzzled. I'm too far away from him. I'm going to rent a house again. Then, I'll go to the lawyer's office today. If I want a divorce, I need to show you the evidence of Sue Giron's extramarital affair, Baya said thoughtfully. Evidence of Sue Giron's extramarital affair. That's easy. Give it to me, and I'll handle it for you, Lu Shuang said confidently. Thank you, Baya thanked him sincerely. The marriage that lasted for 3 years was finally coming to an end. She could finally get out of that hell. She only knew how beautiful it was when she let it go. There was a knock on the door. Baya looked at the door. The head of the gynecology department looked terrible. She looked at Baya and said, "The director asked you to go over. It's not a good thing. Be prepared. Is Sue Jiron the B***starred really going to kill you?" Lu Shuang said. Baya's heart skipped a beat. She had a bad feeling. I'll go first. Lu Shuang saw Baya go out and immediately called the director. Dad, what's going on? Are the higher-ups still targeting Baya? The leader of the health bureau suppressed this matter and asked us to deal with it. It should have been dealt with yesterday, but I delayed it for a day and asked her to think of a solution. She still hasn't thought of anything. I have to report this to the higher-ups, the dean said helplessly. Wait a moment. I have an idea. Dad, don't deal with it first. Stall for time, Lu Shuang said with a sudden inspiration. My dear daughter, what do you want now? Dad has already helped you clean up a lot of messes. Please spare my old life, the headmaster said anxiously. I know. Just wait for half an hour. Lu Shuang hung up the phone. She took out her phone from Baya's bag and found a call from the bureau chief. She took Baya's phone and called him. The phone rang twice before it was hung up. Since it was an emergency, Lu Shuang couldn't care less about whether the others were busy or not. He made another call. Gu Lingqing was still dead. She quickly typed a message, I'm waiting for you to save me. Hurry up and pick up the phone. After sending the text message, Lu Shuang called again. What's the matter? Gu Lingqing picked up the call. Just pick up the call, Mr. Bureau Chief. Baya is in trouble. She's waiting for you to save her, Lu Shuang said. Gu Lingqing heard that it was another woman's voice. She paused for a moment. What happened to her? Xiao Bai went out on a mission and delivered a pregnant woman. The ultrasound showed that the umbilical cord was around her neck. She was about to give birth. Xiao Bai could only make a small incision on her lower body. She didn't expect that the woman was Xiao Bai's husband's lover. Xiao Bai wanted to divorce her husband. Her husband instigated the woman to sue Xiao Bai, causing Xiao Bai to lose her job, Lu Shuang said simply. I know about this. I'll deal with it, Gu Lingqing said in a deep voice. Lu Shuang heaved a sigh of relief when he heard that. He smiled. You're indeed a great boyfriend. No wonder Xiao Bai likes you. Baya likes me. Gu Lingqing frowned. He didn't believe it at all. Yes, she told me personally that she likes you. It's just that she's a married woman now, so it's not convenient for her. But don't worry, Baya is trying her best to get a divorce, Lu Shuang said deliberately. She felt that Baya was a good match for the military officer. Gu Lingqing was silent for a moment. He hung up the phone. His eyes were gentler than before. He called the director of the first hospital. Hello, I'm Gu Lingqing, the supreme leader of the special forces. Dr. Baya is following my instructions during the mission. If anyone is looking for trouble, please ask her to look for me. It has nothing to do with Baya, Gu Lingqing said in a deep voice. The director was stunned. The person who called him was the general of the special forces, Gu Lingqing. His daughter's ability was too great. Okay, I got it. I'll deal with it, the director said in a trembling voice. Gu Lingqing hung up the phone. The director said to Baiya, "You're fine now. General Gu from the Special Forces just called and said that you were following his instructions. It has nothing to do with you. Go back to work." Baiya lowered her eyes. She didn't expect that Gu Lingqing was still willing to help her. Her heart was touched again and again. She went back to the office. The office was covered with roses, and there were 2 paper bags next to the chair. Su Jiran sat in front of her desk lazily and asked in a devilish tone, "Do you like it?" She didn't like it. There was a hint of indifference in Baiya's eyes. "I haven't gotten off work yet. Your presence here will affect my work." "I've asked. You don't have an operation scheduled in the afternoon. It won't affect me here." He stood up and brushed the hair hanging down from her face. Baiya stepped back subconsciously. Su Jiran didn't like her repulsion. A sharp glint flashed across his eyes. "What do you want now? You're the one who asked the director to fire me, aren't you?" Baiya asked directly. Su Jiran paused. "I almost forgot about this. Wait a minute." He made a call in front of Baiya and ordered, "Withdraw the charges against Baiya." After that, he hung up the phone and smirked. He looked at Baiya. "Baby, it's settled. You just have to listen to me. I won't let you suffer." The way he called her baby gave her goosebumps. "I'm going to work," Baiya said indifferently and sat in front of her desk. Su Jiran placed the gift bag on Baiya's desk. "These are clothes and shoes. My friend is treating me to dinner today. You should go too." Baiya's face turned pale when she recalled the incident with his wife. "I'm not going. I don't want to know your friend. I was confused last time. I won't do it this time. I'll pick you up tonight," Su Jiran said domineeringly with a smile. He turned around and left from Baiya's room. Lu Shuang saw Su Jiran walking out of Baiya's room. He ran over and asked worriedly, "Is that bastard pestering you again?" "Very soon. Purgatory will end soon," Baiya said with certainty. "Hurry up and end it. There's something better waiting for you." Lu Shuang smiled ambiguously. Gu Lingqing's face flashed across Baiya's mind. Chapter 32. I want a divorce. His family won't agree, Baiya said with self-awareness. Lu Shuang poked Baiya's head. "Why are you so inflexible? You and Su Jiran don't have a child. What era are we living in now? Divorced people are more popular than unmarried ones. Let's not talk about this. I need to finish my work," Baiya said. Lu Shuang saw the gift bag on Baiya's desk. She took it out. There was a pink gauze dress inside. It was made by Chanel. It was obviously expensive. "Su Jiran gave it to you?" Lu Shuang asked with disdain. "Yeah." Baiya didn't even look at the dress. Su Jiran is very generous to women. But he is not generous to one woman. "You won't be soft-hearted, will you?" Lu Shuang asked worriedly. Baiya looked up. Her eyes were as calm as water. "I have given up on him. It doesn't matter if he is hard or soft." Lu Shuang gave Baiya a thumbs up and agreed. "That's right. I will keep an eye on him these days. It will be easy to get the evidence of his affair. I will give it to you." "Thank you. I don't have anything to do this afternoon. I will go to the lawyer's office to ask about the situation." "Hurry up." Baiya asked the lawyer for details. The lawyer said that if there was evidence of the man's affair, they would force a divorce. It was not difficult to get the evidence of Su Jiran's affair. She came out of the lawyer's office. Her phone rang. Where are you? Did you ask for leave in the afternoon? Su Jiran asked suspiciously. She didn't want to tell Su Jiran that she was preparing for the divorce. She didn't want him to be on guard. She said perfunctorily, "Yeah, I went out to relax. I am going back to the hospital now. See you at the entrance of the hospital in half an hour." Su Jiran said unhappily and hung up the phone. Baiya took a deep breath. She had to endure it. She had endured it for so many years. A few more days was not a big deal. She returned to her office and changed into the clothes that Su Jiran had given her. His phone rang again. It was still from Su Jiran. "Baiya, there's a limit to being arrogant. I've been waiting for you for 10 minutes. Su Jiran said angrily. Baiya sneered. She had waited for him for 3 years. 10 minutes was nothing. "I'll be there in 5 minutes. Baiya ignored his anger and hung up the phone. Su Jiran got out of the car and looked at the exit with a frown. He had left work early to wait for her. She had gone too far. Baiya walked out of the exit. Su Jiran's eyes flashed with a hint of amazement, reflecting the beauty of his facial features. Baiya usually dressed very maturely. In fact, she was only 24 years old. The pink silk dress suited her very well, and the elegant material outlined her perfect figure. In particular, the three-dimensional cut up to the knee set off her straight and slender calves. She looked very good after dressing herself up. Beautiful things were pleasing to the eye. Su Jiran calmed down and opened the car door. Baiya got in the car and put on her seatbelt. She asked calmly, "Where are you taking me?" "The Peony Hall." Su Jiran said with a smile. The Peony Hall of the new century was the most luxurious private room in City A. This private room was not something an ordinary person could reserve. Baiya followed Su Jiran into the private room. Xing Jinyan held Su Jiran's arm naturally and introduced him to Xing Bachwan with a smile. "Dad, he saved me yesterday." Xing Bachwan smiled with satisfaction and reached out his hand. "Minister Su is a young talent from the Health Bureau. We've met before. Nice to meet you. Thank you for saving my daughter." Baiya stood at the door and watched them being intimate. Her lips curled up slightly. She seemed to have been the extra one all along. After shaking hands with Xing Bachwan, Su Jiran glanced at Baiya. "Come in." Xing Bachwan's face paled when he saw Baiya, and his smile froze. "Who is she, Jiran?" Xing Jinyan asked defensively. "I told you before." "She's my wife, Baiya," Su Jiran said with a smile. He took in their ugly expressions. Xing Bachwan glanced at Xing Jinyan in displeasure. He thought that Xing Jinyan had hooked up with a young talent from the Health Bureau as soon as he came back. He had a wife, and his wife was actually his daughter from his previous life. He felt uncomfortable all over. But he didn't lose his temper for the sake of Su Jiran. He said solemnly, "Please take a seat, everyone. I have 2 more friends coming." Su Jiran sat down with Baiya. The atmosphere was strangely depressing. "Bachwan, I'm sorry I'm late," Gu Tianhang walked in and said apologetically. Xing Bachwan saw Gu Tianhang and immediately stood up to welcome him. He shook his hand tightly, and his cold face warmed up again. "You're already giving me face by coming." Xing Bachwan looked behind Gu Tianhang and couldn't even keep his smile. Like father, like son. I've finally witnessed General Gu's bravery. "Please take a seat," Xing Bachwan said hypocritically. Baiya looked at Gu Lingqing in surprise. She didn't expect to meet Gu Lingqing here. His expression was tense and cold. There wasn't a hint of a smile on his face. He glanced at her indifferently and looked away as if they didn't know each other. General Gu, it's been a while. Su Jiran smiled and put his arm around Bai Ye's shoulder, pulling her into his arms. I don't seem to be familiar with you. Gu Lingqing sat down in front of Bai Ye arrogantly. His distant aura made him look arrogant and unruly. Not familiar. These two words made Bai Ye's heart tremble. She seemed to have said these two words to Gu Lingqing. However, he still helped her solve the dispute in the hospital. Bai Ye lowered her eyes. Xing Bachuan looked at Gu Lingqing and then at Xing Jinyan. His eyes were sharp. General Gu is young and promising. Do you have a girlfriend? I have a fiancé. He looked up at Xing Bachuan coldly. He glanced at Bai Ye. Her face was calm, as if she had nothing to do with him having a fiancé. Was she really not familiar with him? His face became even colder. He poured himself a glass of red wine and drank it in one gulp. Ah! Xing Bachuan was disappointed. When did this happen, old Gu? Why haven't I heard you mention it? It's about the child. It's been on and off, and it's been noisy. I can't really tell. However, I want to announce this at the banquet tomorrow night, Gu Tianhang said happily. So you have a fiancé. Su Jiran picked up his glass and gestured to Gu Lingqing. He said meaningfully, I'm sure General Gu and your fiancé must have a good relationship. I'm impressed that you're able to keep your composure. Here's to you. Gu Lingqing didn't raise his glass. Su Jiran felt a little bored. Oh right, thank you for saving my wife last night. She hid in my arms and cried her eyes out as if she had been wronged. I'm sure she's still traumatized by what happened last night. Chapter 33. What happened this morning? Su Jiran looked at Bai Ye with a dangerous glint in his eyes. She didn't like his fake intimacy and nonsense. When did she hide in his arms and cry? Bai Ye curled her lips and said sarcastically, I'm crying. Can I not tell you what I'm afraid of? Su Jiran didn't like her answer. He curled his lips, but his eyes became cold. He moved his mouth to her ear and whispered in a low voice that everyone could hear, yes, how can you be afraid of what happened in the morning? You love rolling in the sheets with me. Gu Lingqing looked at Bai Ye with cold eyes. Bai Ye had the urge to slap Su Jiran. What he said made her feel sick. He touched her thigh and pinched it hard as if he was punishing her. Bang! Xing Jinyan knocked over the cup. Bai Ye looked at Xing Jinyan. Xing Jinyan's watery eyes sparkled as she looked at Su Jiran. She felt so wrong that her hands trembled. Bai Ye was very disgusted with Su Jiran's methods. He brought her here on purpose to make Xing Jinyan jealous. Now that his plan had succeeded, it was time for her to retire. Excuse me, I need to go to the washroom. Bai Ye picked up her bag and walked out. Wait. Xing Jinyan stopped in front of Bai Ye and smiled gently. My dress is wet. Can you help me? Bai Ye stared at Xing Jinyan. She wasn't a heartless person. She knew that it was a demonstration, but she still took it. Wasn't that stupid? Miss Xing, you have your own hands, don't you? Sorry, I'm not free. She walked out of the room coldly. Xing Jinyan was embarrassed for a moment. Seeing Bai Ye leave, she immediately chased after her. Su Jiran revealed a meaningful smile. Even the depths of his eyes were smiling. It seemed that the girls were jealous. If you step on the boat too much, your shoes will get wet sooner or later. Gu Lingqing picked up the wine glass and took a sip. It doesn't matter. I can swim. Even if I fall into the river, I don't need to worry. Su Jiran joked. Gu Lingqing looked at him coldly. His cell phone rang. Gu Lingqing glanced at the caller ID and stood up. Excuse me. He took his phone and went out. Chief, the leader of the terrorist organization we're following, Miller, has just arrived in a city. According to our informant, there might be a batch of firearms being sold recently. I guess it might be related to him. Should we arrest him now or later? Lieutenant Colonel Shang reported. Since he still dares to come, he must have a reason to risk his life. Keep a close eye on him and wait for any changes, Gu Lingqing ordered rationally. When he passed by the door of the washroom, he heard Bai Ye's voice coming from inside. He instinctively stopped in his tracks. There's nothing to talk about between me and Miss Xing, right? Bai Ye said coldly. I know that you're my sister. Xing Jinyan curled her lips and said provocatively, Jie Ran told me that he only married you because he wanted to see me. 3 years ago, there was a misunderstanding between us and I was forced to leave. Now that I'm back, can you let go of me? She had wanted to let go of him for a long time. What do you want me to do? Bai Ye asked coldly. Divorce and let us be together, Xing Jinyan said straightforwardly. Bai Ye sneered. It seemed that all mistresses had the same request. She was really on the verge of collapsing. It would be better if she didn't do it. As long as he brings it up, I'll divorce him immediately and leave him with nothing. I'll leave the heavy responsibility of getting him to bring it up to you. Bai Ye was telling the truth. Xing Jinyan's expression darkened and she said sarcastically, you know that he's using you to anger me. How can we divorce? Bai Ye, let go. You're not in his heart. You're just a tool for him to take revenge on me. Bai Ye stared at Xing Jinyan. All right. Xing Jinyan couldn't understand what she was saying at all. She shouldn't play the lute to a cow. Is there anything else, Miss Xing? No, I'm leaving, Bai Ye said indifferently. Xing Jinyan looked at her indifferent expression, as though victory was in her grasp. There was a surge of anger in her heart that was rising rapidly. Bai Ye, don't you have any shame? He doesn't love you. Don't you understand? Xing Jinyan tore off her ladylike facade and shouted. Bai Ye looked down. The mistress actually said that she had no shame. What a joke. She couldn't be bothered with her anymore and walked away proudly. Bai Ye, I'll definitely make Jie Ran divorce a disgusting woman like you, Xing Jinyan shouted. Bai Ye walked out of the washroom and paused when she saw Gu Lingqing. He held her hand and walked quickly into the private room and closed the door. Bai Ye was a little afraid of him now. Her eyes flickered. He didn't let her dodge. He placed his hand on the side of her head and locked his gaze on her. Are you stupid or a fool? Do you think that you can make Su Jiran change his mind by obeying him? He's just enjoying the feeling of having women on his left and right. She knew it. Su Jiran had brought her here on purpose to make Xing Jinyan jealous. But she had no choice. I know what I'm doing. Bai Ye said. She just had to endure for a few days and find the evidence. Then she could get a divorce and get rid of this hellish marriage. What are you doing? Compromising and loving. Men won't like you just because you're wagging your tail and begging. Gu Lingqing's chest was heaving up and down. She was very angry. I'm not wagging my tail and begging. I'm not begging for love. Then what are you doing now? Did you sleep with him in the morning? Gu Lingqing's tone became sharp. Right now, he was not calm at all. His blood was surging and boiling. I didn't sleep with him. I never slept with him. He was the one who spouted nonsense, Bai Ye blurted out. She was annoyed after saying that. She was so eager to explain to him, as if she was hinting at something. I'm leaving. Bai Ye walked away sullenly. The haze in Gu Lingqing's eyes gradually dissipated. So, they didn't have sex in the morning. So, they never had sex in the morning. The other meaning of this sentence was that the only man she had was him. Gu Lingqing opened the door and walked out. He watched as Baiya walked into the elevator. He chased after her. Xing Jinyan looked at them maliciously. A light flashed in his eyes. She made a call. Brother Sen, it's Jinyan. Are you near the peony hall? Xing Jinyan asked sweetly. Yes. What's wrong? Do you miss me? Brother Sen said pervertedly. Help me do something. After it's done, I'll ask my father to approve the project you applied for. What is it? A man and a woman left the peony hall. I'll send you their photos. Lock them in the same room and give them some medicine. You know what I mean. Xing Jinyan's eyes flashed with a dark light. Chapter 34. Baiya walked out of the restaurant. She felt depressed. Her mind was in a mess. It was because of Gu Lingqing. She knew it. She seemed to be, a little, attracted to him. There was a flurry of footsteps behind her. Baiya turned around instinctively. A man wearing a mask came over with a spray. He pointed it at her 5 times. Pie, 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 pie. She smelled a strong ether smell. Her vision darkened and she fainted. The man carried her and put her in the car. What are you doing? Gu Lingqing chased after them and asked. A hand was placed on his shoulder. Gu Lingqing's eyes flashed with sharpness. He threw him over his shoulder. The man was thrown to the ground, still holding the spray in his hand. Gu Lingqing dashed towards Baiya. Another man dashed out and stood in front of Gu Lingqing. He didn't stop and dashed over. Before the man could throw a punch, he was pushed away and hit the car. Gu Lingqing was too fast. He wasn't a match for him at all. Get in the car, the man shouted. The man who was hit got up and jumped into the car. Gu Lingqing watched as the car with Baiya drove away. He quickly chased after her. A gun came out of the car and was aimed at Gu Lingqing. Gu Lingqing jumped away. They stepped on the accelerator and ran away. Gu Lingqing immediately called the road management office. Help me check 2 cars. One is a black Santana with the car plate number **315 and the other is a black Volkswagen with the car plate number **510. Tell me their whereabouts in 10 minutes. He got into his car and sped along the road. Su Jiran waited for a while but Baiya didn't come back. He called her but she didn't pick up either. He was unhappy and went out to look for her. Jiran, Xing Jinyan called out gently from behind him. Su Jiran turned to look at her and smiled devilishly. What's wrong? Xing Jinyan walked up to him, her face flushed. I've booked a room at the Grand Hyatt Hotel. Of course he understood her hint. He liked the feeling of being chased by women. What did you say to Baiya? Su Jiran asked. Xing Jinyan looked at his half-smiling eyes and couldn't tell what he was thinking. I love you, but my wife is someone else. I have 1,000 things to say to your wife, but she left angrily. I didn't have a chance to talk to her. Su Jiran laughed, lifted her chin, and kissed her on the lips. You're the only woman I'm worried about. Don't disappoint me. The things those little women do will only annoy me. You're so smart, you should understand, Su Jiran said meaningfully. Xing Jinyan's mind was buzzing. Did Su Jiran know something? Have you fallen in love with Baiya? Xing Jinyan asked. What's there to love about her? You've just come back, have a good time with your family, Su Jiran said and walked towards the elevator. He didn't miss her at all. The director of the road bureau called Gu Lingqing. He asked the 2 cars to stop at the abandoned pier in Lijiang. Gu Lingqing quickly drove over. 1.5 hours later, he arrived at the pier. The surroundings were eerily quiet, and the 2 cars were parked there. Gu Lingqing flashed past. There was no one in the cars. In the row of warehouses, there was only one place with light. He quickly went over. Baiya's body was curled up, and her arms were around her chest. She was facing him, shivering on the bed. Gu Lingqing realized that something was wrong, and he ran in worriedly. Baiya, Gu Lingqing shouted. Baiya's face was unusually red, and her eyelashes trembled. She opened her eyes. Gu Lingqing, drive away. Don't talk, I'll send you to the hospital. Gu Lingqing carried her and turned around. The shuttered door of the warehouse was pulled shut by the masked man. Kid, this woman is a peerless beauty. You should enjoy it, the person outside said sinisterly. Gu Lingqing knew what happened to Baiya. Her gaze became more and more unfocused, and the desire became stronger, as if there were countless ants crawling on her body. Gu Lingqing frowned, and his eyes were filled with tears. She would feel terrible. He understood this feeling. He was like this 3 years ago, and in the end, he lost his mind. She happened to pass by, and that was why he took her. Hold on for a while, my people will be here soon. Gu Lingqing put her on the bed. He looked around and found pinhole cameras in the 4 corners. Baiya watched as he tore off the wires of all 4 cameras. The pain was getting worse, and her mind was filled with some restricted images. She whimpered helplessly, and tears welled up in her eyes. She had never done anything bad, and she had never even talked bad about others behind their backs. Why did God treat her like this? Gu Lingqing made a call. Seeing that she was crying, his heart softened a little, and he wiped away her tears. Baiya looked at him fixedly, and her eyes were filled with tears. It brightened her face, and she looked even more sexy and beautiful. She straightened her waist, and her soft and warm red lips touched his. Her hands wrapped around the back of his neck, and she pulled him to her side. His body froze, and his back stiffened. Her elegant scent rushed into his nose, and the soft clove was unbridled between his lips. It was so eager and hot, and he swallowed the taste that belonged to him. Gu Lingqing frowned, and only felt that his suppressed rationality was on the verge of collapse. The sweat that he had been holding back trickled down his forehead. Baiya saw that he was not moving, and was very anxious. She kissed from the corner of his mouth to his chest. Gu Lingqing was startled, and he clamped her chin, pushed it away, and looked at her with a burning gaze. Do you know what you're doing? She was about to die from the heat, and she had completely lost her rationality. Leave, you, go away, she said, panting, but kissed his lips again. Her kissing skills were very bad, but it was so damn soft, and there was a sweet feeling in his heart. He closed his eyes, and didn't want to think anymore. She was the one who was drugged. But he also seemed to be drugged. His breathing became heavier, and he looked at Baiya deeply. I feel so bad, Baiya said while crying. Gu Lingqing made up his mind. He knew that she was under the influence of the drug, but he didn't want to miss it. Baiya, I will take responsibility. I, Gu Lingqing, swear that in this lifetime, I will only have you as my woman. Chapter 35. Baiya couldn't see his face clearly. Her mind was swallowed up by the darkness. It will hurt a little. Bear with it, Gu Lingqing said worriedly. If it weren't for the drug, he would have done the first part carefully. Gu Lingqing was about to unbuckle his belt when the shutter door was opened. He looked at the door alertly. Lieutenant Colonel Shang came with the soldiers and a doctor. Chief, are you okay? Lieutenant Colonel Shang asked worriedly. Gu Lingqing was a little absent-minded. If they had come a little later, something would have happened between him and Baya. He was a little annoyed. He stood up and ordered the doctor, "Give her a tranquilizer first." Yes. The doctor gave Baya a tranquilizer. Baya, who was in pain, looked at the medicine being injected into the needle hole weakly. The restlessness in her body gradually disappeared. She fell into a deep sleep. Lieutenant Colonel Shang looked at Baya's flushed face. The chief's clothes were untidy, and there were hickeys on his neck. He said worriedly, "Chief, were you molested?" Gu Lingqing's sharp gaze swept over him. "You talk a lot of nonsense." He carried Baya and walked towards their car. Lieutenant Colonel Shang touched his nose. Why did he feel like he had ruined someone's good time? Baya woke up in a daze. The first thing that flashed in her memory was that she was kidnapped. She sat up in a panic. Her mind became clearer and clearer. Yesterday, she was drugged and it was Gu Lingqing who saved her. She even molested Gu Lingqing. It was so embarrassing. What are you thinking about? Why are you so focused? Gu Lingqing asked. Only then did Baya realize that Gu Lingqing was sitting on the sofa. She looked into his deep eyes and thought of last night. She couldn't help blushing. Nothing, I'm going to brush my teeth and wash up. She got up and didn't dare to look at him. She almost ran into the bathroom. Gu Lingqing got up and leaned against the door frame, watching her brush her teeth and wash her face. Do you remember what happened yesterday? Gu Lingqing asked. Baya looked down. She remembered that she had touched that part of his body, and the feeling was still there. She wanted to play dead. I don't remember, Baya said guiltily. Gu Lingqing's eyes darkened. Did she not even dare to admit it? Gu Lingqing gritted his teeth and tightened his jaw. You were drugged last night. Baya turned to look at him, her eyes gleaming. Did the general save me? Gu Lingqing sneered, I'll do it with you. Obviously not. Your subordinates came at that time. Baya exposed his lie. The corners of Gu Lingqing's mouth curled up. So you remember. Was it a short-term memory loss just now? Baya, she knew that she had fallen into his trap. She looked down and complained that he didn't give her face. Why are you like this? He looked at her condescendingly. His breath was all over her face. Why am I like this, don't you understand? His voice became softer, a little gloomy, a little repressed, and a little suggestive. Baya's heart was beating very fast. He really had feelings for her. She wasn't imagining it. But she was a married woman, and this wasn't appropriate. Gu Lingqing's phone rang. He saw that it was Su Jiran's call. He frowned, picked it up and said coldly, What's the matter? Where's Baya? Let her answer the phone, Su Jiran said angrily. Gu Lingqing glanced at Baya and passed the phone to her. It's Su Jiran. Baya didn't expect that Su Jiran would call Gu Lingqing to look for her. She took the phone suspiciously. What's the matter? You're sleeping with Gu Lingqing? Su Jiran asked sarcastically, hiding his anger. Don't use your dirty thoughts to think of others, Baya said unhappily. You better not. Gu Lingqing is the chief of the special forces and the youngest general in history. His father is the deputy chief, and one day, he will become the president of the country. If you're with him, you'll be leaving a stain on his life. You're my wife, my woman, Su Jiran said arrogantly. She hated the phrase, you're my woman, Su Jiran. Don't you think you have too many women? Baya said coldly. But I only have you as my wife, Su Jiran said sternly. He gritted his teeth and his gaze was sharp. Then you should control your women even more. Kidnapping and drugging me. If it wasn't for your connivance, would they have dared to do it? Was there a need for them to do so? Su Jiran was surprised. You said that someone drugged you. Don't you know who it was? I was kidnapped right after I left the restaurant. How many people knew that I was in that restaurant? You can count your fingers. Who else has the motive and who has the ability to do so? I don't want to talk to you anymore. Don't call me anymore. Baya hung up the phone angrily. You still want such a scumbag? Gu Lingqing said coldly. Baya recalled what Su Jiran said. Gu Lingqing was a general and the head of the special forces. He might become the president of the country in the future. She was a married woman. He treated her so well. She shouldn't hinder his future. I'm going back. I still have to work today. Baya nodded indifferently. Gu Lingqing didn't like it when she was like this. It made his heart feel like it was being tugged at. He grabbed her chin and lifted it up. What do you want from me? Baya looked straight into his beautiful eyes. To me, you are like the sun. As long as the sun shines, I can feel warmth. But if you get too close to me, I will turn into ashes before I even get close, Baya said seriously. Am I that scary in your eyes? Gu Lingqing was annoyed. His chest was heaving up and down. I'm not scary. I'm just stating the truth. The truth is that you're timid. Gu Lingqing let go of his hand and turned his face away. You can leave. Baya nodded respectfully. She picked up her bag and left without looking back. Gu Lingqing's fist hit the wall heavily. He frowned. This was the first time he lost control like this. Su Jiran was hung up. His gaze was sharp as he dialed Xing Jinyan's number and questioned him. Did you ask someone to kidnap Baya last night? Of course not. Who told you that? Was Baya kidnapped last night? Xing Jinyan pretended to be innocent. Don't let me find out it was you. Otherwise, I won't let you go, Su Jiran said fiercely. Didn't you say that you don't love her? Xing Jinyan felt wronged. Even if I don't love her, I won't allow anyone to bully her because of her identity as Mrs. Su. Okay, that's it. I have something to do here. Su Jiran hung up the phone in annoyance. Xing Jinyan gritted his teeth. Baya was just Mrs. Su. Soon, she wouldn't be. Chapter 36. Xing Jinyan's phone rang. Seeing that it was Sen's call, she walked back to her room and picked it up. Sen, she said in a sweet voice. Xing Jinyan, what's the background of that Gu Lingqing? Brother Sen asked. What's wrong? Xing Jinyan frowned. He was annoyed, but his voice was still as gentle as ever. Damn it. He's investigating the car and found Little Hay. Little Hay is my man. He's going to find me. Don't worry. It's fine. How about this? Do me one more thing. I'll arrange for Little Hay to hide abroad. Without Little Hay, they won't be able to find you, Xing Jinyan said coldly. What else? Brother Sen was annoyed. Xing Jinyan's eyes flashed fiercely. Kill Baya. Baya was dead. She could only be Mrs. Su. I didn't expect you to be so ruthless even though you're usually so gentle, Brother Sen sneered. Of course not. I just don't want them to find you, Xing Jinyan said gently. Okay, but Little Hay has to leave tonight. Don't worry. Little Hay will leave and your real estate development project will be approved, Xing Jinyan promised. Gu Lingqing was extremely depressed. She couldn't even eat breakfast. She went back to her room to change for the meeting. She saw a work ID on the floor. He picked it up. It was Baya's. In the photo, she had a simple and elegant face. She was smiling peacefully, but there was an unresolvable sorrow in her eyes. This woman was really forgetful. Lieutenant Colonel Shang, go to the hospital, Gu Lingqing ordered. Bai Ye had breakfast near the hospital. It was still early. She leisurely walked over. She was thinking about what had happened last night. Even now, those images made her heart beat faster. When she was near the entrance of the hospital, a black car rushed towards her. That kind of speed, and that kind of route, was aimed at her. Bai Ye was startled and subconsciously ran toward the shop next to her. However, the owner of the car wanted to kill her. He drove at an astonishing speed. Bai Ye couldn't outrun him. He was too anxious and fell to the ground. She could only watch as the car came crashing towards her. Beside her, a Bentley sped past her and crashed into the flower bed, blocking her way. There was another bang. The black car crashed into the Bentley. "Chief," Lieutenant Colonel Shang exclaimed as he got down from a military vehicle behind. Seeing that the situation was not good, the black car quickly retreated. Bai Ye watched as Gu Lingqing was carried out of the Bentley by several soldiers and sent to the hospital. Her head was buzzing, and she stood there for a long time, unable to recover from it. Could it be that Gu Lingqing was trying to save her? Doesn't he know how dangerous he is? Bai Ye rushed to the hospital and asked the service counter, "A minute ago, a group of soldiers sent an unconscious man here. Where did they send him?" "Department of Brain, Intensive Care, 18th floor," the nurse at the reception desk said. Bai Ye immediately rushed to the 18th floor of the neurology department. Gu Lingqing was going through all kinds of tests. She sat in the waiting area worriedly. The director and the important leaders had all come over. They looked solemn. She was really afraid that something might go wrong. Bai Ye felt even more uneasy when she saw them like this. If anything happened to Gu Lingqing because he saved her, she would never forgive herself. Time ticked by. Finally, Bai Ye saw Gu Lingqing being pushed out of the emergency room. His head was bandaged and his left arm was in a cast. He looked very serious. Her eyes reddened in an instant, and she ran up. "Unauthorized personnel are not allowed to come near," the soldier said sternly. Bai Ye's heart skipped a beat. Lieutenant Colonel Shang glanced at Bai Ye. "Follow him." Thank you," Bai Ye said respectfully. She followed the cart into the VIP room. Lieutenant Colonel Shang left with the soldiers. In the room, there was only Gu Lingqing and her. Bai Ye's eyes were red and misty. She sat on the chair beside the bed and choked with sobs. "How did you get hurt so badly?" Gu Lingqing slowly opened his eyes. His gaze was deep, like the vast universe, reflecting the two of her. "Do you feel sorry for me?" Gu Lingqing asked in a deep voice. He, because of her, got hurt more and more seriously. And she, apart from feeling guilty, couldn't do anything else. Suddenly, she felt resentful towards Su Jiran. If he hadn't been a troublemaker, she wouldn't have been hated by his women, and Gu Lingqing wouldn't have gotten hurt. "I must be your jinx. It seems that every time you see me, nothing good will happen," Bai Ye said apologetically, tears flowing down. He brushed her tears with his index finger and slightly raised the corner of his mouth. "But, I must be your lucky star. When you see me, you will definitely be safe." Bai Ye was touched by his words and smiled through her tears. "Have you had breakfast?" "No, are you going to feed me?" Gu Lingqing looked at her with burning eyes. Bai Ye blushed a little and skipped the topic. "I'll go buy some breakfast." Gu Lingqing looked at her back as she left, and his eyes became deep. It seemed that it was a blessing in disguise for him. Bai Ye went to the cafeteria to get breakfast and found that she had lost her work card. Fortunately, there was a nurse she knew who was also getting breakfast, so she borrowed her card. She went back to Gu Lingqing's room. He was resting with his eyes closed, looking elegant, just like a noble prince. She walked in quietly. Gu Lingqing opened his eyes and looked at her. I didn't fall asleep. I'm hungry. Oh. She put the breakfast on the bedside table and saw that he was still reading the Russian book. Did Lieutenant Colonel Shang send it here so quickly? I put it in the car and asked him to bring it here first. He's going back to get my clothes now. Gu Lingqing explained patiently. Baiya blushed, squatted down in front of the bed, shook the bed and put down the board. In order to make him more comfortable, she pulled out his pillow. Because she was too close, her chest accidentally bumped into his hard chest. Gu Lingqing looked at her with burning eyes. If he had forced himself on her yesterday, would their relationship be different? He clearly remembered the feeling of kissing her, as if he was trapped in tenderness and didn't want to get out. Baiya, fall in love with me. Gu Lingqing said hoarsely. Her heart skipped a beat and she looked into his black eyes. There seemed to be a fire burning and jumping in the depths. She felt cramped and couldn't think. She wanted to wake up first. Gu Lingqing didn't let her retreat. He pressed his hand on her neck. The heat of his palm touched her skin, forcing her to look up. Chapter 37. Her lips were very easy to kiss. They were soft, and warm, with the unique fragrance of her body. He couldn't help but want to go deeper. He licked her lips, and the strong taste of the sun made her a little dizzy. Baiya felt that she couldn't breathe, and the oxygen seemed to be sucked away little by little. Unconsciously, she opened her mouth. Baiya felt flustered and couldn't think. She wanted to push him away, but she felt that her limbs were weak. Baiya held his arm. No. Xiaoya, I will take responsibility. Gu Lingqing said in a low voice, looking into her eyes sincerely. Baiya crawled out from under him and didn't dare to look at him. She lowered her head and said, I will come to see you at noon. Baiya almost ran away. She felt that she was about to say yes to him. But she didn't divorce, so it was wrong. She returned to the office in a daze. Lu Shuang was already waiting for her in her office. Why are you so late? My friend had a car accident, so I went to see him. Baiya sat down in front of the desk. Lu Shuang smiled, sat down at Baiya's desk, and said proudly, Girl, I have good news for you. Baiya looked at Lu Shuang's expression, and an idea flashed in her mind. You found the evidence of Su Jiran having an affair? Sort of, but I still have to wait for a few days, hee. Lu Shuang said ambiguously. Why do you have to wait for a few days? Baiya was puzzled. Lu Shuang smiled carelessly. That girl was said to be Su Jiran's former assistant. She had the phone recording of Su Jiran having an affair, and she asked for 200,000 yuan. If she told Baiya, Baiya would definitely not agree to buy it at such a price. Anyway, her old man had 200,000 yuan. But she had to compromise on some things. For example, a blind date. You have to help me with one thing. Lu Shuang said with a smile. What is it? I have a blind date on Saturday. Come with me. If you come with me, your business will be settled. Okay, if you want me to accompany you, I will accompany you even if there are no conditions. She only had one friend, Lu Shuang, and she treasured him very much. Then I'll go back to my office. Lu Shuang stood up. Baiya suddenly thought of something. When you're free, help me find a house. I want to move out. You should have moved a long time ago. Lu Shuang patted his chest. I'll look for a house. Thank you. Baiya watched Lu Shuang leave gratefully. Her life was not empty, at least there was friendship. At noon, she hesitated whether she should visit Gu Lingqing. She could feel that Gu Lingqing had some thoughts about her. If she went, would it mean that she acquiesced to his thoughts? But if he didn't go, it would seem unreasonable. After all, he was injured saving her. He was her savior. Bai Ye was in a dilemma. Her phone rang. When she saw it was Gu Lingqing, her heart raced. She took a deep breath and answered the call. "When are you coming?" Gu Lingqing asked in a deep voice. "Well, I have something to do at noon," Bai Ye said guiltily. "Your work permit is with me. If you don't come to my place, I'll go to your place," Gu Lingqing said domineeringly. "Then, I'll come over after I get my lunch," Bai Ye said softly. "Okay." Gu Lingqing hung up the phone and looked at Lieutenant Colonel Shang. "You don't have to stay here." "How can we do that?" "If something happens to you, we can't afford it," Lieutenant Colonel Shang said worriedly. "You're too conspicuous here. Besides, I'm fine. If I ask you to leave, then leave." "Don't talk so much nonsense," Gu Lingqing said impatiently. Lieutenant Colonel Shang couldn't do anything about the chief, so he could only listen to him. Bai Ye stood at the door of Gu Lingqing's ward. She took a deep breath and knocked on the door. The door was opened. She was surprised that it was Gu Lingqing who came to open her door in person. Was he feeling better? Before she said anything, he pulled her in, closed the door, and kissed her lips passionately. Bai Ye's mind went blank. She opened her eyes wide and couldn't react for a moment. His kiss became deeper and deeper. His red tongue entered her mouth and messed up her breath. She knew it was wrong. She came back to herself and pushed him away desperately. Gu Lingqing let go of her lips. His chest was pressed against hers, and his strong breath surrounded her. "Stay with me. I'm not asking for your opinion. This is an order," he said in a deep voice. His deep eyes were bottomless. "We can't do this," Bai Ye said rationally. "Why not?" "Su Jiran doesn't like you. Your marriage with him exists in name only. If you continue to be with him, it will only be hell," Gu Lingqing said with certainty. "But I'm still married to him now. I can't get out of it with any reason." Bai Ye's eyes turned red. "I'm only asking you, do you like me?" Gu Lingqing asked directly. Bai Ye's mind was in a mess. One word from her could very well be their doom. "Can't we be friends?" Bai Ye was annoyed. "In my opinion, there can't be pure friendship between a man and a woman. If you like me, no matter what I face, I will go on without hesitation. If you don't like me..." Gu Lingqing paused and looked at her with burning eyes. Bai Ye clenched her fists. "If I don't like you, what will you do?" He didn't answer. There was a glint in his eyes and he asked, "Will you like me?" "Who wouldn't like a handsome man like you? Your looks, background, and status are enough to make a woman obsessed with you. But if this kind of liking is just a momentary impulse, I don't think it will last long," Bai Ye said rationally. Gu Lingqing squinted his eyes and shot out a sharp gaze. Couldn't she compromise? Couldn't she give in? What was wrong with being with Gu Lingqing? The woman he liked would definitely be spoiled to death. How do you know it won't last long if you haven't tried? Gu Lingqing said domineeringly. It's a mistake from the beginning. How can it last long? Bai Ye said pessimistically. He hated that she was like a tortoise, hiding in her shell. He lifted her chin and took her lips in a punishing kiss. It was very ferocious. He sucked on her lips like a storm. When she breathed, all she breathed in was his strong manly scent. It almost filled her lungs and her limbs were weak. She couldn't even push him away. He kissed her until he was panting and finally let go of her. He looked at her swollen lips and curled up the corners of his lips. Didn't you ask what I would do if you don't like me? Baiya looked at his crazily rolling eyes and had a bad feeling. Chapter 38. Baiya was frightened by him. The word rape was the nightmare of her life. She thought of that night, that man, that was the nightmare of her life and the lingering fear. Her happiness, her love, was over. Baiya was trembling with fear. Then I will hate you. Gu Lingqing saw the real fear in her eyes. His heart felt as if it was being twisted by a hand, and the pain came unexpectedly. She was actually so afraid of him. It seemed that it was meaningless for him to force it. He turned around dispiritedly, opened the drawer, picked up her work permit, put it on the bedside table, and said in a low voice, "Go, don't come here again. I am a wolf, next time, I can't guarantee that I will let you go like I did yesterday." Baiya's heart was very sour. Why was her relationship with Gu Lingqing getting worse and worse? Her mind was blank. She put the food on the bedside table, took out her work permit, and hung it around her neck. "Take your food away, I don't want to eat it," Gu Lingqing said coldly. "I got this food from the canteen, I didn't cook it myself." "If you go to the canteen to get food, you will also get this," Baiya explained with red eyes. "You brought it. I don't want to eat it. Take it away, or do you want me to throw it away myself?" Gu Lingqing said coldly. Baiya had no choice. She went forward, took the lunchbox, and said indifferently, "Pay attention to your rest." She turned around and walked towards the door. Gu Lingqing sneered, her eyes were as red as blood. She really didn't feel nostalgic at all, and left so quickly. She clenched her fists tightly. Baiya opened the door, saw Su Shaoling walk to the door, and subconsciously, she closed the door guiltily. "Well, Su Shaoling is coming, I will hide first," Baiya said and went into the bathroom. She was annoyed when she went in. Why did she want to hide? She didn't do anything wrong. Su Shaoling came in with lilies and a fruit basket in her hands. Today, she was still dressed up beautifully. Her makeup was exquisite, her earrings were bright, and she wore a pink miniskirt. Her chest was pulled very low, and from time to time, half of her snow-white skin was exposed, but it was still very sexy. She put the flowers in the vase, put the fruit basket on the table, and smiled. "If I didn't see it with my own eyes, would have thought you were avoiding the banquet tonight." Gu Lingqing didn't say anything, he looked at the bathroom and frowned slightly. Su Shaoling was used to his alienation. Since he did that to every woman, she didn't mind. She sat down on the chair beside him. "Grandma said that since we can't announce the date of the wedding banquet, we'll go to her place for dinner another day and decide on the wedding date." Gu Lingqing's face was cold, and his pitch-black eyes were vast and boundless. "If you don't answer, I'll take it as you agree," Su Shaoling said to herself. Baiya leaned against the wall, feeling a little uncomfortable. He was about to get married, and they were like passers-by in a hurry. No matter how unwilling they were, this chapter would be over. So, she made the right decision. It was the wisest thing for her to miss Gu Lingqing. She opened the door and looked at them. She met Gu Lingqing's eyes. Her heart trembled and she closed the door again. Gu Lingqing was unhappy. Was he a poisonous snake or a beast? She was afraid to avoid him. He gritted his teeth and looked at Su Shaoling. The suppressed anger was spreading. "Okay, let's get married." Su Shaoling was happy and threw herself at Gu Lingqing passionately. The strong perfume filled the whole room, and the fragrance was pleasant. She wanted to kiss Gu Lingqing's lips. Gu Lingqing hesitated for a moment, avoided it, and stood up. Su Shaoling hugged Gu Lingqing, afraid that he would regret it. "Lingqing, do you want me?" Gu Lingqing looked at the door of the washroom. There was no movement at all. That woman treated him as if he didn't exist. He was nothing in that woman's heart. He felt depressed and uncomfortable. When he was in a trance, Su Shaoling had already taken off her clothes. Anyway, we are going to get married. If you want me today, I will definitely serve you well, Su Shaoling said anxiously. He couldn't hide his disgust. He was so angry at Baiya that he lost his mind. Now that he thought about it, he really didn't like this woman at all. Su Shaoling, I was just joking. Su Shaoling was stunned, and the smile on her face was a little awkward. Gu Lingqing frowned. He was very annoyed and wanted to refuse. He saw Baiya come out of the washroom and tiptoed towards the door. She really knew how to behave. Lingqing, I will definitely serve you well. I will be a good mother and a good wife. Su Shaoling bit her lips and said. Baiya listened, but the discomfort in her heart spread all over her body. She wanted to leave as soon as possible. The air here made her feel suffocated. She opened the door with a click. Su Shaoling heard the sound and was about to turn around. Gu Lingqing pinched her chin and stared at her mouth with his deep eyes. His black lotus-like eyes were dark and surging. Su Shaoling felt that she was deeply trapped in it and couldn't get out. It was the first time she looked at him so closely. She could see every pore on his face. He was a perfect man who was impeccable in all aspects. Baiya opened the door. Lieutenant Colonel Shang and an old woman were at the door. She was upset and couldn't get out, so she went back to the washroom. Gu Lingqing frowned and looked at Baiya's back helplessly. Lingqing. Su Shaoling called in a sweet voice. I like a woman with a smaller mouth. Yours doesn't seem suitable. He said coldly and walked towards the washroom. Grandma came in accompanied by Lieutenant Colonel Shang and saw Su Shaoling taking off her clothes. Oh, I'm sorry. You can continue. Grandma pulled Lieutenant Colonel Shang out. Su Shaoling also looked embarrassed and put on the clothes she took off. Gu Lingqing went into the washroom, closed the door and locked it. Why don't you go out? He asked in a low voice. Someone is at the door. I can't go out. Baiya explained. Baiya, why are you feeling guilty? Gu Lingqing questioned and examined her. It was like an X-ray, so she had nowhere to hide. I'm not feeling guilty. Baiya lowered her head. His question made her breathless. Really? A fierce look flashed in Gu Lingqing's eyes. He grabbed her waist, pulled her into his arms, and kissed her lips. Baiya leaned back against the wall. Chapter 39. Baiya realized what he wanted to do and her legs trembled. He was so strong that she couldn't stop him at all. She pushed his shoulders. Baiya snorted. She had never been touched like this before. It was as if there were fireworks going off in her head. It was a very strange feeling, but it also seemed to be bewitching. His breathing became heavy and there was a layer of love in his eyes. He looked at her misty eyes and said, You have what you want, right? You shouldn't do this. Baiya was embarrassed and annoyed. What should I do? I don't want to let you go, he asked. Baiya was so tense that she didn't dare to move. He could feel the strength of her muscles, and waves of excitement surged in his heart. Baiya let out a moan but didn't dare to be too loud. Su Shaoling was still outside the door. She wanted to struggle but she was no match for him. She could only hit him and push him to prevent him from going further. Gu Lingqing's expression was locked and he said gently, You want it too, right? Let me go, Baiya requested. She had never been touched by a man other than that time when she was raped. She blushed and bit her lower lip. Relax, I won't hurt you, I promise, Gu Lingqing said sincerely. How was he not hurting her? Bai Ye looked at him with red eyes. He didn't want to scare her, so he kissed Bai Ye's lips. I just want you to like me and be with me. If you don't try, how will you know if we can be together forever? I'll just wait for you to get divorced. His voice was very gentle and his breath was on her face. Knock, knock, knock. There was a knock on the door. Lingqing, what are you doing? Bai Ye was so scared that she didn't dare to move. Her back was stiff. But he didn't seem to hear it at all and looked straight at her face. He had always been pure and had sex with her because of the drug. After that, he didn't have any urges because he had a taste of a woman. Until he met her. He knew what he had been waiting for. He didn't deny his feelings towards her. He just wanted her. He unzipped his pants. Bai Ye was really scared, so she opened the door when he let go. Su Shaoling was shocked to see Bai Ye in the washroom. Bai Ye had no time to care about her shock. She opened the door and ran away. Gu Lingqing was furious and slammed the door. What was so bad about him that she was so afraid of him? Bai Ye ran out of the brain department. She was still in a state of shock. She was actually like Gu Lingqing, like that, almost like that, like that, like that. She was probably crazy. Bai Ye pushed open the door to her office. Su Jiran was sitting on her chair. When he saw her coming in, he twisted out the burning cigarette butt. Did you do it with Gu Lingqing yesterday? Bai Ye looked into his cold eyes and felt a chill. Thinking of her kidnapping and drugging last night, as well as the danger this morning and Gu Lingqing's injuries, she couldn't help but feel angry. It was all because of him. What right did he have to question her? Do you care? Bai Ye asked with bloodshot eyes. You're my wife, I won't allow you to make me a cuckold. Su Jiran stood up. Suddenly, he felt a lot more dangerous. I've been made a cuckold by you countless times. Where do you get the cheek to control me? Bai Ye shouted anxiously. He walked in front of her and said coldly, Woman, don't have such a bad temper. It will only make people annoyed. Men are romantic, but women are cheap. Xing Jinyan came to me today and wanted to be my secretary. I didn't want to agree, but now it seems that she's much cuter than you. Then I wish you two have a son soon and be united forever, Bai Ye said indifferently. He was sick of it. He pressed down on her shoulders and slammed her against the wall. Woman, don't test my patience. If you think I'm annoying, then get a divorce, he roared. Do you want a man that much? Su Jiran was finally angry. His anger spread and burned until his eyes were bloodshot. Bai Ye felt that his words were incoherent and illogical. Communicating with him would shorten her life by 10 years. It has nothing to do with you. Let go of me. Bai Ye struggled to break free. Su Jiran's lips curled up. Looks like it's time for me to fulfill my duties as a husband. I'll definitely satisfy you. Bai Ye's eyes widened in panic, but she was even more angry. Su Jiran, get out. Get out where? You'll be begging me to come in later. He hugged her shoulders and pressed her against the desk. Her documents and books were scattered all over the floor. She saw danger in his eyes and pushed him away anxiously. Compared to Gu Lingqing, she would rather be Gu Lingqing than the disgusting Su Jiran. Su Jiran's breathing became chaotic. Move, you know. The more you struggle, the more excited I get. You're shameless, Bai Ye said through gritted teeth. He did not seem to hear her scolding and curled his lips. His hand moved up her thigh. Yo, this is love between man and beast. Lu Shuang vaguely heard the sound of Bai Ye's office and appeared in time. When Bai saw Lu Shuang, she was surprised and even had the urge to cry. It was tears of joy, grievance, and all sorts of complicated emotions. Su Jiran stared at the emotions in Bai's eyes. His gaze tightened and he was very annoyed. She really did not want him to touch her. For a moment, he was in a trance. The woman in front of him was still the Bai who loved him deeply. Because of love, even if he betrayed her, schemed against her, and hurt her, she still married him without hesitation. It seemed that something was changing quietly. Bai took the opportunity to walk away from him and ran to Lu Shuang. Cool girl. Lu Shuang pulled Bai behind him and glanced at Su Jiran with his beautiful eyes. Then, he glanced at the mess on the floor and was instantly displeased. I say, Minister Su, there are many women outside if you want. There's also one waiting for you in the military. Bai has an operation in the afternoon. Do you want her to not even have the strength to hold a knife? Su Jiran stared at Bai and saw her coldness and resistance. There was a strange light in his eyes. I'll pick you up tonight. I think we'll have to use our wedding room tonight. Bai frowned and watched Su Jiran walk past her. After he left, she immediately went to open the window. She did not like the smell of perfume and cigarettes on him. Chapter 40. Bai was terrified of Su Jiran. She hadn't taken her annual leave yet. She had asked for leave, so her phone was turned off. When she reached the entrance of the hospital, two strange men blocked her way. Bai had a bad feeling. She said sternly, "What do you want?" "There are cameras here. You can't escape even if you kidnap me." "Madam, Minister Su said that if you come out, we will take you back." Bai didn't expect that Su Jiran would even consider that she wanted to leave early. "I'm afraid I'm not free right now. I have a gathering with my friends. I'll be back later." Bai refused and walked past the two men. The two men held Bai's hands and said coldly, "I'm sorry, madam. Minister Su said that no matter what excuse you have, we will take you to the villa." Bai was almost dragged away. She was very scared and struggled. "Let me go. Let me go. I don't want to go back. What's the difference between you and kidnapping?" Her struggle was useless. She was taken to the parking lot. She saw Lieutenant Colonel Shang get out of the car and immediately greeted him. "Lieutenant Colonel Shang, Lieutenant Colonel Shang." Lieutenant Colonel Shang looked at her in surprise. "He's a Special Forces soldier." "Let me go," Bai said to the people who were dragging her in disgust. The men looked at each other and loosened their grip. Bai broke free and quickly ran towards Lieutenant Colonel Shang. "Are you here to see Lieutenant Colonel Gu?" "I'm here to bring food," Lieutenant Colonel Shang replied. Bai saw the two men staring at her fiercely. She said in panic, "Let's go up together. I'm going to see him too." She walked forward, and the two men actually followed behind her all the way. Her brows furrowed tightly. She followed Lieutenant Colonel Shang to Gu Lingqing's ward. She lowered her head and glanced at Gu Lingqing. He said that to his grandmother. She thought of the last scene and blushed. She was the one who ran away. Now she was a lamb in a tiger's mouth. Gu Lingqing glanced at Bai and pretended not to see her. "Lieutenant Colonel, here's your food," Lieutenant Colonel Shang said respectfully. He put the food on the bedside table and shook Gu Lingqing's bed. Bai didn't dare to walk forward. She stood at the door and felt restrained. "You can go now. You don't have to stay here with me," Gu Lingqing said to his grandmother. Since you are in love with that girl from the Su family, hurry up and marry her. Give me a few great-grandchildren. I don't know how long I can live." Gu Lingqing's grandmother urged. I know what I'm doing. I'll solve my own problems, Gu Lingqing said coldly. I've watched you solve it for a long time, but you still haven't solved it. Gu Lingqing's grandmother complained. Gu Lingqing looked at Lieutenant Colonel Shang. Send my grandmother back. Bai Ye became nervous and clenched her fists. It was Su Jiran outside and Gu Lingqing inside. She couldn't afford to offend either of them. Lieutenant Colonel Shang sent Gu Lingqing's grandmother out. Her grandmother glanced at Bai Ye. She thought she was a caretaker. She didn't care and walked out of the room. Gu Lingqing stared at her. Bai Ye didn't dare to look up. She bit her lip and clenched her fists. Gu Lingqing chuckled. Are you going to keep quiet? Bai Ye was shy. She explained, there are 2 men outside who want to catch me. I'm hiding here. Gu Lingqing picked up his phone and made a call. There are 2 men following Bai Ye. Go and deal with them. Bai Ye looked at him. He helped her again. Come here, Gu Lingqing said. Bai Ye stood in place and did not move. She wanted to go out, but she was afraid that they hadn't finished dealing with them. Do you want me to come over and hug you? Gu Lingqing said. Bai Ye's ears turned red. She walked towards his cramped body. She stood in front of the bed. Gu Lingqing looked at her and didn't say a word. He was born to be a king. He had a strong sense of oppression. Did I scare you just now? Gu Lingqing's tone softened. Bai Ye nodded. I'll be gentler next time, Gu Lingqing said, a little annoyed. Next time. There would be a next time. Bai Ye's heart was beating so fast that it almost jumped out of her throat. Gu Lingqing's phone rang. He picked it up. Sir, it's been solved. I sent them to the police station. They won't be released for a week. Gu Lingqing replied. Bai Ye heard the voice on the phone. I'm leaving now. I'll visit you another day. She almost ran away in defeat again. Gu Lingqing looked at her back helplessly. In Su Jiran's villa. He was listening to the report on the phone. A cold light flashed and he ordered, ask Miller to do something. This battle has made Gu Lingqing too idle. Yes. Su Jiran turned around and looked at Little Black who was kneeling on the ground. Minister Su, please spare my life. I was just following Sen's instructions. Little Black wailed, and the bright chain was stained with dirty blood. Su Jiran looked at Little Black coldly. Did anything happen between my woman and Gu Lingqing after they were drugged? Little Black was not stupid. He hurriedly said, no, their clothes were neat when they were rescued. Su Jiran's anger disappeared a lot. He knew that Bai Ye would not let others touch her. If she wanted to touch her, she would have done it long ago. Even if she was drugged, she would still keep her chastity for him. It seemed that he should really share his wealth with this woman. Minister Su, what should we do with him? Su Jiran's subordinate asked. Lock him up first. The best part is yet to come. Su Jiran raised the corner of his mouth. He pulled off his tie and called the director of obstetrics and gynecology. I'm Su Jiran. I want to give Bai Ye a surprise tonight. Please do me a favor. I happen to have 2 tickets to Hawaii. I'll ask someone to give them to you. As soon as Bai Ye came out of the hospital, the director of obstetrics and gynecology called her. Bai Ye, it's an emergency. The hypertensive pregnant woman in bed 32 is about to give birth. Her husband asked you to come back to deliver the baby. Bai Ye was stunned. How did the director know that she was at the door? It was an emergency. She had no time to think and ran to the obstetrics and gynecology department in a hurry. When she came out of the operating room, Su Jiran stood in front of her and smiled wickedly. It seemed that he had been waiting for her for a long time. Baiyo was shocked. She ignored him and forced her way over. Su Jiran grabbed her hand. "Let go of me." Baiyo turned around and glared at him. Su Jiran smiled and carried her up in his arms. "Are you touched? I'll take you to our wedding room in person." "I'm not touched." "Have you had enough fun, Su Jiran?" Baiyo was trembling with fear. Su Jiran looked down at her and looked even more devilish. "I'll have fun. If you perform well, I'll let bygones be bygones. I'll even let you have my child. From now on, your position as Mrs. Su will be as stable as a mountain." She did not want to have his child. She did not want to have anything to do with this devil. Chapter 41. She was thrown into the car by Su Jiran. He locked the door. His subordinate drove. "Boss Su, we're being followed. What should we do?" Su Jiran's subordinate looked at the rearview mirror and suddenly said. Su Jiran turned around and saw an Audi following behind them. A man lowered the brim of his hat and held a mobile phone in his hand, following them closely. Su Jiran smiled cynically. "It's going to be rush hour soon. Play with him." "Yes." Baiyi saw them circling around the city center and had a bad feeling in her heart. What was Su Jiran trying to do? Gu Lingqing listened to the report from the other end of the phone and said in a deep voice, "Did she leave voluntarily or unwillingly?" "She was dragged into the car by force." Gu Lingqing's soldier reported the truth. A sharp light flashed across Gu Lingqing's eyes. "Which road are you on now? If necessary, invite him to the police station." "It's very strange. Chief, I seem to have been exposed. His car has been circling around the city center." "I understand. You continue to follow." Gu Lingqing hung up the phone and turned to face Lieutenant Colonel Shang. He ordered seriously, "Call the doctor to remove my cast." But that was a matter between a husband and wife. Was the chief too concerned? "But what?" Gu Lingqing replied in one sentence. Lieutenant Colonel Shang didn't dare to say anything. Immediately informed the director of the traffic police department. "Send the real-time video of the city center to my phone." Gu Lingqing ordered again. His eyes were cold and irresistible. Lieutenant Colonel Shang swallowed his saliva without any ambition. He put his feet together, puffed out his chest and sucked in his stomach, and saluted. "Yes, Chief." 5:00. The rush hour began. There were more and more passers-by. In just 5 minutes, the traffic was heavy. Su Jiran's eyes shone with brilliance. He ordered arrogantly, "Let's start." "Yes." Baiyi saw the car speeding up. The car drifted on the road. "Ah!" Baiyi staggered in the car and screamed. Su Jiran cast a sidelong glance at her, admiring her unbearable pain as if it was a punishment. The smile in his eyes deepened. He never knew that his wife could be so cute even when she was embarrassed. Baiyi glared at him and grabbed the handle above the door at the right time to stabilize her body. She saw a woman riding an electric scooter in front of her also running a red light. Su Jiran's car did not slow down at all. Baiyi's heart skipped a beat. She shouted anxiously, "Stop the car! Stop the car! It's going to crash." Not only did the number of his subordinates not decrease, but they also charged forward. The woman on the electric scooter was frightened and drove the scooter randomly. Su Jiran's car passed by the woman. Baiyi turned around. The woman ran straight into a car behind her. She was sent flying. Su Jiran had no regard for human life. She never knew that he could be so bad. Why did she marry such a cruel and bloodthirsty man? She used to love him so much. Now, she finally knew how stupid she was. Su Jiran. She's dead. Baiya said anxiously. Su Jiran smiled evilly. I didn't hit her. She ran the red light herself. Her driving skills are not good. If you hadn't been driving so fast, would this have happened? Baiya was not calm and knocked him on the head. She had used up all her strength. He looked at her evilly as if it did not matter. Baiya, congratulations. You've successfully aroused my interest. Aren't you too arrogant? Do you think that I'm arousing your interest? Baiya glared and roared. I'm interested in you. Isn't that what you've been waiting for? I'll allow you to be unreasonable for a while, but I won't allow you to be unreasonable for a long time. Su Jiran's eyes were filled with danger. Don't you understand? Baiya's chest was heaving up and down. She had completely lost her rationality. Not everyone will wait for you in the same place after being hurt, and not everyone will continue to be a bitch. In the future, we will go our separate ways. Please don't interfere with my freedom anymore. Let me out of the car. Su Jiran narrowed his eyes and observed her angry face. He saw determination in Baiya's eyes. It was not the scheming he had always thought. This caused a flash of panic in his heart. You're my wife. Why can't I interfere? Su Jiran asked coldly. Wife? Su Jiran, when you cheated on me, did you ever think that you had a wife? When you got someone pregnant, did you ever think that you had a wife? When you sent me to the gates of hell in exchange for your girlfriend's safety, did you ever think that I was your wife? Baiya screamed hysterically. Su Jiran grabbed her chin. But you're still Mrs. Su, aren't you? Baiya looked into Su Jiran's eyes coldly. I don't care anymore. Su Jiran's eyes were cold. He tightened his grip on Baiya's chin. Baiya, say it again. There are many women in this world who want to marry me, Su Jiran. If you get divorced, don't expect me, Su Jiran, to look at you again. Think carefully before you answer. He felt strangely uncomfortable. His breathing became heavier and heavier. He was inexplicably nervous about her answer. Baiya felt that his straight man cancer had reached the terminal stage. If we get divorced and die of old age, there's no need to see each other anymore, Baiya said firmly. As soon as she finished speaking, his thick breath, with the smell of tobacco, assaulted her. He kissed her lips. When his red lips touched hers, Su Jiran felt an electric current flowing from his lips to his heart. Her lips were very soft, like cotton candy. With her fragrance, he sucked hard, as if he was punishing her. Baiya felt the sting on her lips come and go. Her eyes were clear. She clenched her fists. No matter how painful it was, she would not cry out. She knew clearly that Su Jiran did not know how to be gentle with a woman. Even if she was in pain, he would not let go. She could only grit her teeth and not let him go. Su Jiran's breath became more and more rapid. Baiya, let me tell you, I won't get divorced before I get tired of you, Su Jiran said firmly. His eyes were dyed red. I will only disgust you. Baiya squeezed these words out of her teeth. A sharp glint flashed in his eyes. It was a dangerous glint. Chapter 42. Lieutenant Colonel Shang plucked up his courage. Sir, it's not good for you to be alone, right? Gu Lingqing's sharp gaze swept over him like an ice blade. What's not good about it? Go back and prepare. Let Zhang Lang go to the island for a drill tomorrow. Lieutenant Colonel Shang didn't dare to say anything else. Yes. Although Baiya's injuries weren't serious, they were all abrasions and they were on her back. She couldn't wash and disinfect them herself. The nurses cleaned them up for her before sending them back. Baiya laid on the bed. She was so hungry that her chest was almost touching her back. She didn't eat anything in the afternoon because she felt awkward. The smell of food hit her nose and she became even hungrier. Gu Lingqing pushed the door open and the nurses came in with a bowl of mullet soup, sweet and sour pork ribs and stir-fried vegetables with mushrooms. "Are you hungry?" Gu Lingqing asked gently. Baiya felt a subtle sweetness in her heart and she nodded. She would remember. Maybe it was because her back was scarring. It hurt when she moved. "If you don't want the wound to split open, just lie down and don't move," Gu Lingqing said. She looked at Gu Lingqing. His gaze softened. "I'll feed you." In the morning, he was still the one lying on the bed. Now, he was the one. "Are your head and hand okay?" Baiya asked with concern. "I put them up to avoid the banquet tonight." "Of course I'm fine," Gu Lingqing explained. He patiently removed the bones from the fish, put it into a spoon and passed it to her. "The doctor said that this is good for scars." She felt a lot more at ease when he was fine. Baiya ate the fish that he passed to her and her heart throbbed. "Gu Lingqing, do you have any wishes?" Baiya asked. She wanted to do her best to help him achieve it. "Don't you know my wish?" Gu Lingqing looked at her with a burning gaze. Baiya remembered what he wanted. He didn't expect that his wish was for herself. Baiya looked down. She was sick and he didn't want to make things difficult for her. "What about you?" She had many wishes. She wanted to be an outstanding doctor. She wanted to be with the man she loved and be together forever. She wanted to cook for the man she loved and watch the stars and the moon with him. She wanted her mother to get better soon. She wanted the happiness of the people she cared about. She wanted the happiness of the people she cared about. "Go to Provence. I took my mother to travel there. It's a place she has always wanted to see," Baiya said in a low mood. "That's easy. If the money is not enough, I'll pay for it," Gu Lingqing said generously. Baiya shook her head. "My mother is mentally ill. She will hurt people when it gets serious. She can't be bailed out." Gu Lingqing furrowed his brows and didn't speak again. He concentrated on helping her remove the fish bones. Baiya looked at his handsome face. When he was focused, he was like a perfect work of art in the hands of a sculptor, especially his eyes, which were like the brightest stars in the sky. Baiya looked at his handsome face. When he was focused, he was like a perfect work of art in the hands of a sculptor. His eyes were like the brightest stars in the sky. Yeah. Baiya did not deny it. Compared to Sujiran. Gu Lingqing asked with raised brows. Compared to Sujiran. Gu Lingqing raised his eyebrows. He was born with elegance and an unruly aura. He had an aura that could make people go crazy. He was the type that could make thousands of girls scream when he appeared. There's no comparison. Then which do you like better? Gu Lingqing wanted to know why. Baiya felt that this sentence was a trap. If she said that she liked him, it would be like a confession. But she really didn't like Su Jiran anymore. "I'm not a little girl anymore. I've passed the age of dreaming. I don't care about a man's appearance," Baiya said ambiguously. "Then what do you care about?" Gu Lingqing didn't want to let her go. "My heart." Baiya simply said one word. This word was all-encompassing. She looked into Gu Lingqing's deep eyes. They looked at each other as if something was colliding in the air, creating layers of sparks. Gu Lingqing slowly moved closer to her. Baiya's breathing became heavier and heavier. She had the urge to kiss him. I want to eat pork ribs, Baya said, breaking the atmosphere. Gu Lingqing didn't move closer. He cleared his throat and picked up a piece of pork ribs for her. He only started eating after she was done. Baya lay on the bed and looked at him. She felt that he was quite good at taking care of people. If you look at me again, I won't be able to control myself, Gu Lingqing said hoarsely. Baya blushed. She turned her face to the other side, with the back of her head facing him. Gu Lingqing couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. If she wasn't injured, he might not be as easy to talk to as he was now. After eating, Gu Lingqing lay on his bed. He didn't turn off the lights. Baya was quiet. She didn't look at him, but she could feel his presence. Gradually, she closed her eyes. In the middle of the night, she had too much water and needed to go to the toilet. She crept up quietly. Gu Lingqing was alert. He turned on the lights and held her. He asked worriedly, "What's wrong?" Baya blushed. "I need to go to the toilet." Gu Lingqing couldn't help but carry her and walk to the toilet. "It's not that serious. It's just a scratch." "I feel much better now," Baya said awkwardly. "If you don't want your wound to split open and lie in bed for a few more days, shut up," Gu Lingqing said domineeringly. After he carried her to the toilet, he put her down gently, turned around, walked out of the toilet and closed the door. Xiu Xiu could also make sounds. Baya could feel her face burning. After much difficulty, she opened the door and came out. Gu Lingqing picked her up again and put her back on the bed without giving her a chance to speak. She closed her eyes, but she didn't sleep. Gu Lingqing lay down again and turned off the lights. He didn't say anything. Baya looked at his blurry shadow in the dark. In the 3 years of marriage, Su Jiran had never been in the same room with her like this. She spent days and nights alone in the empty room. Guarding, she felt that she was no longer a woman, and she had also lost confidence. "Thank you, Gu Lingqing," Baya said sincerely. She was really grateful to him. Not only did he warm her in life, but he also warmed her heart. What did she do to deserve his love? Gradually, she fell asleep. When she woke up, Gu Lingqing was no longer there. Lu Shuang pushed the door open and saw Baya lying on the bed. He looked worried. "What happened to you? How did you get hurt like this? Why are you here?" Baya was surprised. Lu Shuang smiled ambiguously. "Your man called me and told me that you're staying in this room and asked me to take care of you. What happened to you? Is it serious?" "I had a small car accident. It's not serious. I've already had a checkup. It's just some abrasions. I'll be fine soon. Maybe I'll be discharged in the afternoon. Don't worry." Baya turned around to show that she was really fine. "It's good that you're fine. Do you know what this is?" Lu Shuang took out a recording pen from his bag. Chapter 43. Lieutenant Colonel Shang plucked up his courage. "Sir, it's not good for you to be alone, right?" Gu Lingqing's sharp gaze swept over him like an ice blade. "What's not good about it? Go back and prepare. Let Zhang Lang go to the island for a drill tomorrow." Lieutenant Colonel Shang didn't dare to say anything else. "Yes." Although Baya's injuries weren't serious, they were all abrasions and they were on her back. She couldn't wash and disinfect them herself. The nurses cleaned them up for her before sending them back. Baya laid on the bed. She was so hungry that her chest was almost touching her back. She didn't eat anything in the afternoon because she felt awkward. The smell of food hit her nose and she became even hungrier. Gu Lingqing pushed the door open and the nurses came in with a bowl of mullet soup, sweet and sour pork ribs and stir-fried vegetables with mushrooms. Are you hungry? Gu Lingqing asked gently. Baiye felt a subtle sweetness in her heart and she nodded. She would remember. Maybe it was because her back was scarring. It hurt when she moved. If you don't want the wound to split open, just lie down and don't move, Gu Lingqing said. She looked at Gu Lingqing. His gaze softened. I'll feed you. In the morning, he was still the one lying on the bed. Now, he was the one. Are your head and hand okay? Baiye asked with concern. I put them up to avoid the banquet tonight. Of course, they're fine, Gu Lingqing explained. He patiently removed the bones from the fish, put it into a spoon and passed it to her. The doctor said that this is good for scars. She felt a lot more at ease when he was fine. Baiye ate the fish that he passed to her and her heart throbbed. Gu Lingqing, do you have any wishes? Baiye asked. She wanted to do her best to help him achieve it. Don't you know my wish? Gu Lingqing looked at her with a burning gaze. Baiye remembered what he wanted. He didn't expect that his wish was for herself. Baiye looked down. She was sick, so he didn't want to make things difficult for her. What about you? What's your wish? She had many wishes. She wanted to be an outstanding doctor. I hope to get the person of my heart, to grow old together. She wanted to cook for the man she loved for the rest of her life and accompany him to watch the stars and the moon in the sky. I want my mother to get better soon. She wanted everyone she cared about to be happy. She seemed to be too greedy. Go to Provence. I brought my mother there for a trip. It's a place she has always wanted to visit, Baiye said in a low mood. That's easy. If you don't have enough money, I'll pay for it. Gu Lingqing said generously. Baiye shook her head. My mother has a mental illness. When it gets serious, she will hurt people. She can't be bailed out. Gu Lingqing frowned and didn't say anything else. She concentrated on picking out the fish bones. Baiye looked at his handsome face. When he was focused, he was like a perfect piece of art in the hands of a sculptor. Especially his eyes, they were like the brightest stars in the sky. Do I look good? Gu Lingqing glanced at her and passed the fish soup to her. Yes. Baiye didn't deny it. Compared to Su Jiran. Gu Lingqing raised his eyebrows and asked. It was undeniable that Su Jiran's face was exquisite. He was born with elegance, with an unruly aura. He had an aura that could make people go crazy. He was the type that could make thousands of girls scream when he appeared. There's no comparison. Then which do you like more? Gu Lingqing insisted on knowing the reason. Baiye felt that this sentence was a trap. If she said that she liked him, it would be like a confession. However, she really didn't like Su Jiran anymore. I'm not a little girl anymore. I've long passed the age of dreaming. I don't care about a man's appearance. Baiye said ambiguously. Then what do you care about? Gu Lingqing didn't plan to let her go. My heart. Baiye simply said one word. This word was all-encompassing. She looked into Gu Lingqing's deep eyes. Their eyes looked at each other as if something was colliding in the air, causing layers of sparks. Gu Lingqing slowly moved closer to her. Baiye's breathing became heavier and heavier. She had an urge that he wanted to kiss her. Well, I want to eat pork ribs. Baiye said and broke the atmosphere. Yes. Gu Lingqing didn't move closer. He cleared his throat and picked up a piece of pork ribs for her. He only started eating after she was done. Baiye lay on the bed and looked at him. She felt that he was quite good at taking care of people. If you look at me again, I won't be able to control myself, Gu Lingqing said in a hoarse voice. Bai Ye blushed. She turned her face to the other side and looked at him with the back of her head. Gu Lingqing couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. If she wasn't injured, he might not be as easy to talk to as he was now. After eating, Gu Lingqing lay on his bed. He didn't turn off the lights. Bai Ye was quiet. She didn't look at him, but she could feel his presence. Gradually, she closed her eyes. In the middle of the night, she needed to go to the toilet. She crept up to her feet. Gu Lingqing was alert. He turned on the lights and held her. He asked worriedly, "What's wrong?" Bai Ye blushed. "I need to go to the toilet." Gu Lingqing couldn't help but carry her and walk to the toilet. "It's not that serious. It's just a scratch." "I feel much better now," Bai Ye said awkwardly. "If you don't want your wound to split open and lie in bed for a few more days, shut up," Gu Lingqing said domineeringly. After he carried her to the toilet, he put her down gently, turned around, walked out of the toilet and closed the door. Xiu Xiu could also make sounds. Bai Ye could feel her face burning. After much difficulty, she opened the door and came out. Gu Lingqing picked her up again and put her back on the bed without giving her a chance to speak. She closed her eyes but didn't fall asleep. Gu Lingqing lay down again and turned off the lights. He didn't say anything. Bai Ye looked at his blurry shadow in the dark. In the 3 years of marriage, Su Jiran had never been in the same room with her like this. She spent days and nights alone in the empty room. Guarding, she felt that she was no longer a woman, and she had also lost confidence. "Thank you, Gu Lingqing," Bai Ye said sincerely. She was really grateful to him. Not only did he warm her in life, but also in her heart. What did she do to deserve his love? Gradually, she fell asleep. When she woke up, Gu Lingqing was no longer there. Lu Shuang pushed the door open and saw Bai Ye lying on the bed. He looked worried. "What happened to you? How did you get hurt like this? Why are you here?" Bai Ye was surprised. Lu Shuang smiled ambiguously. "Your man called me and told me that you're staying in this room and asked me to take care of you. What happened to you? Is it serious?" "I had a small car accident. It's not serious. I've already had a checkup. It's just some abrasions. I'll be fine soon. Maybe I'll be discharged in the afternoon. Don't worry." Bai Ye turned around to show that she was really fine. "It's good that you're fine. Do you know what this is?" Lu Shuang took out a recording pen from his bag. Chapter 44. Lu Shuang pressed the switch. "Brother Jiran, are you coming? I want it so much. Little Vixen, I can't feed you enough. Where do you want it?" "Here. Brother Jiran is so mean. Don't do this." Bai Ye lowered her eyes. This was the recording she had heard the other day. Hearing it again, her heart didn't waver. Lu Shuang turned off the recording. "How is it? Is it fun?" "There's enough evidence of Su Jiran cheating, the court will definitely divorce you." "I hope so. Lu Shuang, help me pass these to the lawyer." "I want to end this quickly," Bai Ye said resolutely. "Don't worry, I'll get it done this afternoon." Outside the door, Su Jiran stood there coldly with a bouquet of roses in his hand, his bloodshot eyes glinting maliciously. Did she want a divorce that badly? She had even found the evidence. How could he let her get what she wanted? He wouldn't let her go until he was tired of her. Strangely, there was a strange sourness in his heart that made him feel uncomfortable. He threw the flowers into the bin and walked to the dark corner of the corridor to make a call. A moment later, Lu Shuang picked up the phone. After answering, she said to Baiya helplessly, "The chief of obstetrics and gynecology said there's an emergency surgery, and there's a lack of manpower now. She asked me to go back. I'll come back to accompany you later." Okay, go, I'm fine." Lu Shuang turned and left in a hurry. Baiya picked up a Russian book that Gu Lingqing had placed on the bedside table and flipped through it casually. The book was filled with notes. His handwriting was as smooth as flowing water, penetrating the back of the paper. Just like his looks, he was good-looking. There was a shadow in front of her. Baiya had a bad feeling and looked up. She saw Su Jiran and was subconsciously afraid. She asked in a shrill voice, "What are you doing here?" Su Jiran's lips curled up devilishly. "You're my wife, of course I have to come." He snatched the book from her hands, his gaze sharp. "Give it back to me." Baiya quickly tried to snatch it back. He was too tall, she couldn't reach him at all. Instead, she almost tore her wound open. "Su Jiran, this doesn't belong to me." "I want to return it," said Baiya sternly. He smiled, but his eyes were cold. "I know. You must be Gu Lingqing." He strode to the window, opened it, and threw the book out of the window. "What are you doing?" Baiya ran to the window barefoot. When she saw the book fall into the pond, she was instantly enraged. "That's not yours. Aren't you being too overbearing? What about you? Do you belong to me?" Su Jiran asked. "Am I a thing in your eyes? So you can destroy them without mercy?" Baiya was so angry that she had lost her mind. Su Jiran stared at her cold eyes, and there was an unprecedented panic, as if she was passing away bit by bit, completely leaving his life. He didn't want her to leave his life. Su Jiran's tone softened a little. "I take back what I said about making you wish you were dead. From today onwards, I will try to love you. From today onwards." It was already too late. Her mind was filled with his cruelty and bloodthirst. Baiya glared at him and walked quickly to the door. Su Jiran furrowed his brows. She wouldn't pick up that man's things again, would she? However, he was furious, so he followed her out. Baiya walked to the edge of the pond and picked up the book without hesitation. Su Jiran stared at her gloomily. She immediately hid the book behind her, as if she was protecting it with her life. "If you have an affair with Gu Lingqing, his political future will be gone," Su Jiran warned. She wouldn't have an affair with Gu Lingqing. Soon, she would regain her freedom and start a formal relationship with him from a friend. She walked forward. "Even if you get a divorce, his family won't accept a woman like you." "Baiya, wake up." Su Jiran raised his voice. At the mention of the word divorce, his heart was filled with panic. Baiya looked down and ignored him. Su Jiran walked over quickly and grabbed her arm. "You can only have the life you want if you start over with me. I can give you everything you want. You are no longer in the life I want." Baiya's eyes were red, and she desperately shook his hand. She didn't plan for him in her life. He didn't understand why a woman's feelings could disappear so quickly. He tightened his grip on her hand and asked suspiciously, "Have you ever loved me? Whether I love you or not, does it make any difference to our future?" "We can't talk about this anymore with our current relationship," Baiya said coldly. "In your eyes, what is our relationship?" "I would rather have never known you," Baiya said resolutely. Now, she might only have hatred left for him. "Then I should leave a mark on your body so that you will never forget me," Su Jiran said coldly. Baiya saw the danger in his eyes and struggled to get away. Instead, he held her tightly and put his hand into her loose hospital gown. His big palm was separated by her SpongeBob SquarePants, but it didn't seem to be enough. He followed the strap of her gown and wanted to unbutton the button on her back. Baya flew into a rage out of humiliation. She slapped him. Soo-jiran turned his face and looked at her. His eyes were as red as blood and he had lost all rationality. He tore off her gown with brute force. The buttons fell off and he hugged her waist tightly. Baya felt the swollen thing in his abdomen pressing against her tightly. She was trembling in fear. Soo-jiran, let go of me. Don't make me hate you. Hate. It's better than being a stranger. I don't mind if you hate me. Soo-jiran said cruelly. Baya saw him zipping up, in broad daylight, in front of a crowd. She kicked at Soo-jiran's underling. It hit. Soo-jiran bent over in pain. The murderous look in his eyes was very strong, as if he wanted to tear Baya into pieces. Baya ran with all her might and did not give herself a chance to breathe. She returned to the ward and locked the door. She felt that it was not safe, so she pushed the cabinet, the table, and the bed against the door. Baya, open the door. Soo-jiran was completely furious. Every time he hit the door, it was as if he was going to kick the door open. Bang, bang, bang. The sound fell on her heart one by one. She hit on the bed, her body trembling, and her hand clutching Gu Lingqing's book tightly. She wanted to ask him for help. However, it was his working hours now. She couldn't. She had to endure it, endure it. I'll count to 3. Open the door. 1. Soo-jiran's voice was like that of a demon. If he rushed in, he would not just be strong, he would ruthlessly crush her soul. 2. The voice on the other side of the door was rough and full of anger. Baya was scared, really scared. She did not want to have anything to do with Soo-jiran. Chapter 45. Gu Lingqing was on the way to the island. When he saw it was Baya, he immediately picked up. Gu Lingqing, Baya shouted. She seemed to see the window that led to the light open in the darkness. She couldn't hold it in. She shed tears. Gu Lingqing could tell something was wrong with Baya. His heart tightened. He asked softly, "What's wrong? Can you come now?" Baya begged. She wanted to see him. She really, really wanted to see him. Gu Lingqing frowned. His gaze was deep and complicated. There was a show on Songlang Island today. He promised to watch it. Military orders must be obeyed. He had always been strict with himself. However, he was more concerned about Baya. Lieutenant Colonel Shang, go to the hospital, Gu Lingqing ordered. But Song Lang has already left. Lieutenant Colonel Shang didn't understand. I'll come back and watch the whole thing. Don't talk nonsense. Go to the hospital, Gu Lingqing said firmly. The car was on the way to the hospital. Baya put down her phone. Her heart was filled with hope. 3. Soo-jiran shouted the last number. He picked up the fire extinguisher next to him and smashed it on the glass. The glass shattered. It was as if her life was shattered. He reached in and turned the doorknob. Baya got down from the bed and looked at Soo-jiran cautiously. Soo-jiran kicked away the cabinet that was blocking his way. His whole body was shrouded in an aura of death. Baya unconsciously retreated to the wall. There was no way out. No, Baya said while crying. She looked like she was about to wither. She didn't feel a trace of fear when she faced the gangsters. Soo-jiran was 100 times more powerful than those gangsters. Her tears softened his heart. You almost crippled me. How are you going to make it up to me? Su Jiran asked coldly. Su Jiran, there are many women who are willing to provide their bodies to you. Don't force me. Baiya clenched his fists quietly. Come home with me. I'll count to 3. If you promise me now, I won't touch you. After 3, I'll take you right now. Su Jiran warned. Baiya looked at the door. She really hoped that Gu Lingqing would rush over to save him. 1. Baiya, I will never divorce you. You can only be my, Su Jiran's, wife for the rest of your life. Don't even think about liking someone else. 2. There was always a woman living in Gu Lingqing's heart, and this woman would come back soon. You're just a peanut to relieve his boredom. Baiya was surprised. Her gaze shifted from the door to Su Jiran's face. She just realized that she didn't seem to understand Gu Lingqing at all. It's almost 3. Baiya, you can't wait for me to have sex with you. Su Jiran said evilly. He placed his hand on the side of Baiya's face so that she couldn't retreat. Baiya's phone rang. Her hope was ignited. Su Jiran saw the caller ID of Lu Shuang and smiled coquettishly. Pick it up. Baiya answered the phone defensively. Xiao Bai, I'm sorry. I locked the recording in the drawer, but the drawer was pried open. The information is gone, Lu Shuang said guiltily. Baiya paused and shrugged her shoulders helplessly. No matter how stupid she was, she understood that it must be Su Jiran's doing. She couldn't get a divorce. Gu Lingqing could save her once, twice, thrice, or even 4 times. I'll go home with you, Baiya said in despair. Su Jiran smiled coquettishly with satisfaction. He hugged her waist and moved closer to her face lovingly. Don't worry, I'll definitely make you lie on my bed willingly. I also believe that you'll fall in love with the feeling of me having sex with you. Baiya didn't move. She seemed to have gone through the vicissitudes of life, empty and desperate. She sent a text to Gu Lingqing. I'm fine now. I can leave the hospital normally. Don't worry. You don't have to come over. Thank you. Sorry for bothering you. After sending the text, she wanted to cry. But she couldn't even cry. She only felt bitter in her heart. She didn't do anything wrong. Why did she have to provoke a demon like Su Jiran? She didn't understand. She didn't understand why God treated her like this. She wrote another text to Lu Shuang. I'm going home with Su Jiran now. Let's talk later. Lu Shuang called her immediately. Su Jiran snatched the phone. When he saw that it was Lu Shuang's, he returned it to Baiya. Baiya picked up the call. Xiao Bai, your brain must have been squeezed by a door. Now you're going home with Su Jiran. Don't be afraid. I'll find more evidence for you, Lu Shuang shouted. Su Jiran snatched the phone again. I've already transferred the 200,000 back to your account. You'd better not interfere with the matter between me and Baiya. Otherwise, I'll make you suffer. Come on, I'm not afraid of you. You'd better not cheat. Otherwise, it'll be very easy to get evidence, Lu Shuang shouted. She had never lost a quarrel before. Su Jiran smiled maliciously and hung up. Gu Lingqing called him. Hatred flashed across Su Jiran's eyes. He picked up the call. Are you all right? Gu Lingqing's voice was filled with deep concern. Su Jiran pressed the play button and passed the phone to Baiya. Baiya didn't dare to pick up Gu Lingqing's call. She was afraid that Su Jiran would play dirty tricks. Su Jiran's eyes became fierce. He signaled her to pick up the call. Baiya held the phone tightly and put it to her ear. What happened? Why didn't you say anything? I'll be there in an hour. Gu Lingqing's voice became softer. 1 hour. It was too late. I'm okay. I saw a mouse just now. I'm afraid of mice and snakes. The doctor said that I'm recovering well. I'll be discharged now. She found a reasonable explanation for her crying just now. But when she heard his voice, she wanted to cry again. It's good that you're okay. I've already applied for the Good Citizen Award that I told you about last time. Don't worry about your mother. I'll arrange it. Go to Provence and have fun during this period. Gu Lingqing said softly. There were ripples in Bai Ye's heart. She just said it and he did it. Unfortunately, she didn't deserve such a man. Su Jiran hung up the phone. He's considerate. Are you touched? What do you think? Bai Ye asked back. There was no hidden sadness in her eyes. Su Jiran's eyes narrowed. I refuse. I, Su Jiran's wife, don't need to accept gifts from other men. Doesn't your mother want to see me? I have time to arrange it. Let's go back. I'm a little tired. Bai Ye said tiredly. The more Gu Lingqing thought about it, the more she felt that something was wrong. According to Bai Ye's character, she might be afraid when she saw mice and snakes, but she would never cry. Something must have happened to her. Lieutenant Colonel Shang's phone rang. He answered the phone and said urgently, Chief, bad news. There's a major accident on the island. Tsang Lang caused an explosion as soon as it went up. There were a total of 13 team members. 5 of them escaped safely. 8 of them were injured to different degrees. The leader, number 108, suffered the most serious injuries. Both of his legs were blown off. Send them to the military hospital immediately. I'll go there now. Gu Lingqing ordered urgently. Chapter 46. Gu Lingqing stepped onto the island. The injured had already been evacuated. There were many holes on the island, and there was black residue from the medicine. The air was very turbid. Gu Lingqing's sharp eyes swept over the scene, and a trace of hatred and killing flashed across his cold eyes. He ordered coldly, there are not many people selling chain mines in a country. Within 24 hours, I want to find all the sellers and buyers. Yes, Lieutenant Colonel Shang replied fearfully. At Su Jiran's villa. Bai Ye stood behind him, watching as he keyed in the password, 199203116. She used to think that he was using her birthday as the password, and she was touched. So, Xing Jinyan had the same birthday as her. Jiran, you're back. Xing Jinyan stood at the door, tilting her head and calling out sweetly. Bai Ye looked at Xing Jinyan coldly. She was wearing an extremely short skirt, and if she bent down, her panties could be seen. Her fishnet stockings with holes accentuated her snow-white skin. Bai Ye's lips twitched. Was the governor's daughter out for sale? Xing Jinyan saw Bai Ye behind Su Jiran and was stunned. She smiled sweetly. Sister, you're here too. Bai Ye ignored her and walked in. There was a bottle of red wine, 2 goblets, a fruit salad, 2 steaks, and an elaborately prepared heart-shaped foie gras on the table. Bai Ye really didn't know why Su Jiran brought her here. Should I not be here? Xing Jinyan asked Su Jiran softly. Su Jiran smiled devilishly as he sized up her voluptuous figure. He didn't answer her question. Your outfit is not bad, it's very pretty. Really? As long as you like it, it's fine. You must be hungry, let's eat. I specially made this today. Xing Jinyan held onto Su Jiran's arm. Bai Ye walked towards the room. Bai Ye, let's eat together. Have a taste of Xiaoyan's cooking. She's quite virtuous. Su Jiran stopped Baya. Baya stopped and looked at the air coldly. His eyes became more and more desolate. Even if she didn't mention it, she wouldn't feel the pain anymore. What kind of attitude did he have when she cooked for him last week? Other people's cooking was virtuous, but her cooking was disgusting. Then she'd better not disgust them. No, take your time. I'm not hungry. She walked away without looking back and pushed the door open. The wedding photo on the wall was replaced by Xing Jinyan's personal portrait. On the bedside table was a photo of Xing Jinyan and Su Jiran. What was even more ironic was that in her wedding room, there was a set of clothes that Xing Jinyan had changed out of, as well as a box of necessities that she had bought for the two of them to make love. There was no longer a place for her in this place. She is not a narcissistic person. She didn't think that Su Jiran refused to divorce her because he loved her. He brought her here just to humiliate her. Baya turned around and faced Su Jiran. I've finished admiring the world of the two of you. Can I leave now? Su Jiran pulled out a chair. Come here and sit down. I don't need to repeat myself. You can't afford to offend me. Su Jiran, what more do you want? Baya was already annoyed. What do I think I want? Su Jiran looked at her warningly. Don't disobey me again. Baya sat down in front of the dining table patiently. She wanted to see how disgusting they could be. Luckily, I prepared a few more steaks. Sister, wait for 3 minutes. Xing Jinyan smiled and went into the kitchen. She mixed a layer of salt and chili on the ready-made steaks. She didn't even put them on the pot to cook. Instead, she put them on a plate and brought them to Baya. Sister, eat more. If it's not enough, I can make more, she said sweetly and sat next to Su Jiran, acting like the hostess of the house. Baya lowered her eyes. Her long eyelashes covered the window of her soul. Su Jiran scrutinized Baya's expression. He wanted to see her jealous and angry. Even if it was tit for tat. But she didn't. He couldn't help feeling a little disappointed. Xing Jinyan looked at Su Jiran and her gaze fell on Baya. How could she allow the man she liked to look at other women? She reached out to Su Jiran's knee and slowly moved it up. Her other hand stabbed a banana. This is my favorite. Su Jiran indulged Xing Jinyan. Eat more if you like it. Xing Jinyan became even more charming. Sister, I forgot to bring vinegar. Can you help me check if there's any vinegar in the kitchen? Baya stood up expressionlessly and walked into the kitchen. Xing Jinyan immediately kissed Su Jiran on the cheek. Jiran, I want it while you're not here. Su Jiran never rejected passionate beauties. He kissed her, but his eyes were fixed on the kitchen. Baya saw what they were doing from the window. Her stomach hurt. She didn't know if it was because she was hungry or because she was disgusted. She poured some water and stood by the window, looking at the scenery outside. If they had more time, Xing Jinyan would help Su Jiran solve his physiological problems and she would be safer. Su Jiran saw that she didn't turn around and was a little annoyed. He let go of Xing Jinyan and shouted to the kitchen, "It's okay if you can't find it. I don't like to be jealous anyway." Baya sighed. Impatience flashed in her eyes. She turned around and met Xing Jinyan's provocative gaze. Sister, come and eat. It won't taste good when it's cold. Baya sat down and cut a piece of beef. There was blood on it. She felt a surge of anger in her heart. She had never seen such a disgusting woman. She threw the spoon on the plate. Jiran, I'm scared. Xing Jinyan burrowed into Su Jiran's arms. Su Jiran saw that Baya finally had a reaction. His smile widened and he hugged Xing Jinyan's waist. What's wrong with you? Little Nian worked hard to make this. Look at you now. What do I look like? Baya asked. Her eyes were bloodshot. I'm a shrew, a jealous woman. Our life is hell. Let's end it. Su Jiran's face turned cold and scary. You've taken the wrong medicine again. I told you not to disobey me. What do you mean by disobey? Her eyes were filled with moisture. What kind of woman do you want your wife to be? Baya looked away and wiped the tears that she didn't want to fall. When she loved him, he loved other women. When she didn't love him anymore, he still wanted to control her. This marriage was simply purgatory. You're crying. Su Jiran was shocked. There was a strange glint in his eyes. In the past, when he was with other women, she was always arrogant and domineering. Other than not giving him face, she would never cry. He was a little annoyed and let go of Xing Jinyan's waist. Why are you crying? I'll give you my steak. It's already cut. Su Jiran placed the steak in front of Baya. Baya looked at him. All these years, she had never softened up to him. Her pride wouldn't allow her to bow down to him, who had done something wrong. But she was so tired. She didn't want pride anymore. She wanted relief. Chapter 47. Seeing her tears, Su Jiran's heart tightened and he felt inexplicably uncomfortable. He didn't love Baya. From the first day he met her, he came with a motive. He wanted to get close to Xing Bachuan. What he didn't expect was that Xing Bachuan didn't want to acknowledge her as his daughter at all. He regretted it and didn't want to marry her, so he arranged the kidnapping. She had escaped from the kidnapping and had even been raped. He was furious. She insisted on marrying him. He had married her to torture her. But when she asked for a divorce, he understood how she felt. He didn't want it. He couldn't figure out why, so he was a little depressed. Let's separate for a month. If I'm sure that I don't want you anymore, I'll divorce you. Don't do anything wrong to me in this month. Baya cried tears of joy, as if she had seen the light of hope. She picked up her bag and left, almost as if she was escaping from him. Xing Jinyan smiled smugly. Baya finally knew what was good for her. Jiran. Xing Jinyan's hands wandered restlessly on Su Jiran's legs. Sister is leaving, let's continue. Su Jiran wasn't interested at all. Xiaonian, you can leave first. Alright then, I'll leave first. If I didn't know you, I would suspect that you have fallen in love with Baya, Xing Jinyan said deliberately. Su Jiran's eyes sharpened and he pressed her down on the table. If you talk nonsense again, I'll kill you. How could I fall in love with her? Xing Jinyan clung onto Su Jiran and smiled seductively. Sure, I couldn't ask for more. Su Jiran stared at Xing Jinyan coldly, as if he wanted to eat her up. Suddenly, he sneered and said, then I'll do as you wish. He just felt very frustrated and his heart was gloomy. He couldn't sort it out, so he decided not to think about it. Baya contacted Lu Shuang. Lu Shuang asked for leave to open the door for her and asked worriedly, Xiao Bai, what did that bastard Su Jiran do to you? He agreed to separate and we can get a divorce in a month, Baya said with a smile. He finally made the right decision. You can live with me first, in case he takes things too hard and goes to you again. It's not big for me to live alone anyway. Lu Shuang opened the door. Thank you, Shuang. Lu put his arm around Baya's shoulders. Jiao. You, he said. Baya first hung Gu Lingqing's book on the balcony. Lu Shuang leaned against the door frame and stirred her coffee. Once you're done with Su Jiran, you can start with him. I think he's a good guy. Yasu, I should be, bye-bye lose, yeah, who said, yeah, who bye-byes love. Shouldn't a girl find someone better than her? It doesn't matter if he's worthy or not, the most important thing is to capture his heart first. Lu Shuang took a big sip of coffee. She had to work the night shift today. Bai Yi just smiled faintly and didn't answer Lu Shuang's words. Her cell phone rang. Seeing that it was Gu Lingqing, she hesitated for a moment and decided that it was better to make it clear. She didn't want to be in touch with love right now. She was already riddled with scars and needed time to recover. Bai Yi answered the call. Are you okay? I heard that you've taken 5 days off. I'll arrange for your mother to come out now. I'll have someone send you the plane tickets to Provence later. Someone will receive you when you arrive there. Gu Lingqing said softly. Hearing his voice and feeling his concern, her heart was sour and astringent, and some reluctance flowed in her eyes. However, the better some people were, the more she noticed the distance between them. The less he owed, the better. No, I don't want to go out. My mother is seriously ill now, and it's not suitable for her to go out. I want to invite you to dinner tonight. Are you free? Bai Yi lowered her eyes and said. Well, sure. I'll pick you up. Meet me at the entrance of Sparta Coffee Shop in Water Moon International in an hour. I'll hang up first. Bai Yi hung up the phone in a hurry. Lu Shuang smiled ambiguously and said, that soldier, he's a promising young man. Not bad. Just sleep with him today. I'm going to make it clear to him. Bai Yi said faintly. Make what clear? Don't refuse him. Lu Shuang was anxious. I'm divorced. I was raped 3 years ago. My mother is mentally ill. Do you think his family will accept me? Bai Yi asked back. As long as you have true love. Why are you feeling inferior? How many women are more beautiful than you? You've been tricked by Su Jiran. Lu Shuang didn't want her to give up. Su Jiran said that we'll be separated for a month. It's fine. I'll be free after a month. I don't want to stimulate Su Jiran's possessiveness. I just want to live a quiet life. Gu Lingqing is a man I can't mess with. Bai Yi had thought it through very clearly. Forget it. You haven't divorced yet. I won't encourage you. But Xiao Bai, you should think more about yourself. Don't always think about others. You're the one who suffers losses. Lu Shuang felt sorry for her. At least I have a clear conscience. Bai Yi entered the room and took her bank card. She went to the bank first and withdrew all the money. When she arrived at the entrance of Sparta Coffee Shop, Gu Lingqing was already inside, sitting by the window. The afterglow of the setting sun fell on his handsome face. He seemed to have a lot on his mind. He lowered his eyes and stirred his coffee subconsciously. He didn't drink it. Instead, he looked up. When he saw her, he put down 100 yuan on the table. He stood up and walked towards her. Are you okay? Are you okay? The two of them said at the same time. Bai Yi smiled. Even if he wasn't okay, what could she do? It was fine as long as she wasn't a burden. There's a lot of food on the 4th floor. What do you want to eat? Bai Yi asked. Anything is fine. Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. He passed her an ointment. I asked a friend to make this. Apply it on the scars. It won't leave a scar. Bai Yi's eyes darkened. She didn't refuse and accepted the ointment. Soon, they arrived at the 4th floor. Bai Yi walked into a high-end Western restaurant. Gu Lingqing sat opposite Bai Yi. If you're worried about your mother's condition, I can ask the medical staff to accompany you. Chief, Baiya greeted him. She couldn't bear his kindness anymore. The way she addressed him made his eyes dim. At first, I wanted to be friends with you. After all, with your status, I can't even fawn over you. But then I thought, what right do I have to be friends with you? Gu Lingqing's face turned cold. He narrowed his eyes. What do you mean? Baiya lowered her head. Cruel words were cruel no matter when they were said. Wasn't it? I want to live a quiet and ordinary life. Chapter 48. Fall in love with her. What right did she have? Baiya was about to explain when she saw a familiar face from the corner of her eyes. It seemed to be Su Jiran's friend, Zhang Zi. He was the one she had tied up at the last party. She didn't want him to see her, lest he went to Su Jiran's place to talk nonsense and cause more trouble. Baiya didn't have much time to think and hid under the table. Gu Lingqing, he frowned in annoyance and lifted the tablecloth. What are you doing? Someone I know is coming over and I don't want him to see me. Baiya explained hurriedly. She saw Zhang Zi walking towards her and pulling the tablecloth. Gu Lingqing's heart was filled with an inexplicable anger, which was slowly growing. Do I embarrass you that much? She wanted to pull the tablecloth down but he didn't let her. Baiya saw that she couldn't pull it down and Zhang Zi was walking over. It was too late to hide. She buried her face in Gu Lingqing's lap. She buried her face in the wrong place. She could clearly feel that something was wrong with him. Chief Gu was too sensitive. She was so upset that her ears turned red. But Zhang Zi walked to Gu Lingqing's side. Hello, Chief Gu. I didn't expect to see you here. My company has dealings with the Gu Corporation. I didn't see you at the last party. Zhang Zi greeted her warmly. Gu Lingqing's face was livid. He didn't even look at Zhang Zi and said coldly, "Get lost." Zhang Zi was also a man with good judgment. He saw a girl squatting on Chief Gu's lap and naturally imagined a scene. He knew that he had spoiled the mood and said apologetically, "Please enjoy your meal." Baiya saw Zhang Zi leave but didn't go far. She sat not far away, holding her phone in her hand. She seemed to be texting something and looked at them from time to time. She suspected that he was gossiping with Su Jiran about this. If she came out at this time and Zhang Zi found out who she was, she would definitely be dead. Baiya did not dare to come out. Gu Lingqing glanced at her, and a sharp light flashed across his deep eyes. He put down the tablecloth and called Lieutenant Colonel Shang. I am now at the Western Restaurant on the 4th floor of Shuiyu International. Clear all the staff in the restaurant in 10 minutes. Baiya looked at Gu Lingqing gratefully. He didn't look at her. His entire body exuded a murderous aura, and as time passed, his anger grew stronger and stronger. Lieutenant Colonel Shang brought a platoon of people and quickly cleared out the people in the restaurant. With the restaurant as a circle, they spread out 10 meters. Within 10 meters, no one could get close to the restaurant. He pulled Baiya out and carried her to the table. Baiya had a bad feeling about this. She had never seen him so angry before. He looked like a hungry beast. He lowered his head and fiercely kissed her lips. It was extremely ferocious, swallowing all of her breath, as if it was a punishment. He sucked very hard. Baiya felt a sharp pain in his lips. She didn't want to have any ambiguous relationship with him, so she pushed his shoulders with all her might. The more she pushed him, the more irrational he became. He held her hand and pressed it on the table. Baiya was forced to lie on the table and looked at his bloodshot eyes. Gu Lingqing's chest was heaving up and down violently. He stared at her as if she was his food. Baya, let's be together, Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. He lowered his head and bent her knees. He kissed his way up her knees. Baya was so scared that her legs were trembling. Gu Lingqing, we can't do this. I am a married woman, and we won't be together. If you continue to be with me, you will only ruin your future. Baya tried to wake him up. Gu Lingqing sneered. Do you think I care about your identity? Aren't you going to get divorced soon? Besides, who told you that I will ruin my future if I stay with you? Gu Lingqing questioned. It's not appropriate for us to be like this now. After all, we haven't divorced, have we? Baya struggled to get off the table. Gu Lingqing looked at her coldly, and the gloominess in his eyes became deeper and deeper. Since she was so unwilling, it was meaningless for him to force her. Gu Lingqing loosened his hand and said indifferently, you can go. Baya paused and stood up from the table. Gu Lingqing sat on the seat and looked at her coldly. Baya didn't dare to look at him. She lowered her head and said, I will remember the chief's help for me, and I will pray for you. Get out. Gu Lingqing said coldly, and his voice became more and more indifferent. What he wanted was not her blessing, but her. Baya took out the money from her bag and put it on the table. The money for your cosmetics and clothes. After that, she left with her head down. A sharp light flashed across Gu Lingqing's eyes. She really wanted to settle the score with him and make it clear that there was nothing between them. He pushed all the money on the table to the ground. In the next few days, Baya cancelled her annual leave. Su Jiran seemed to have disappeared, and he didn't call her again. And no other women came to provoke him. The days passed peacefully. Occasionally, she would think of Gu Lingqing, that handsome, noble, and arrogant man. The days with him were enough to be her precious memory, which warmed her for a long time. Friday came, but she didn't go to see her mother. Her mother said that she would bring Su Jiran next time. Where would she find Su Jiran? Baya called the nurse over there and told her to wash her hair, take a bath, and cut her nails. She didn't dare to go there. Knock, knock, knock. There was a knock on the door. Lu Shuang stood at the door and felt sorry for her. You rejected such a good man, don't you regret it at all? The life now is what I want. Baya stood up calmly and cleaned the table. I think you regret it, Lu Shuang said softly. Baya looked up at Lu Shuang. Because I know that I made the right decision. Let's go, I'll cook for you tonight. Baya took off her white dress, hung it on the clothes rack, and held Lu Shuang's arm. Lu Shuang glanced at Baya and felt that she was unhappy. She wanted to do something for Baya, or at least not miss out on Gu Lingqing. At night, Lu Shuang dragged Baya out to do her hair. She called Gu Lingqing secretly. Gu Lingqing answered. Hello, I'm Baya's friend, Lu Shuang, Lu Shuang said in a low voice. N. Gu Lingqing responded in a deep voice. Let me tell you, my friend is a quiet person. She likes to keep everything in her heart. Do you know why she rejected you? Lu Shuang said. Gu Lingqing didn't say anything. Lu Shuang continued, she actually likes you. Do you remember that you have a Russian book with her? That book was thrown into the pond by that scumbag, Su Jiran. She treasured it so much that she dried your book and went around looking for it. She bought a copy of it. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.